Yeah, you're forcing the societal norms onto me. What the hell? What if they're blind? What if they have no arms? What if they have no legs? What if they have no ears? You are low-key a cuck. Yes, I'm sorry.
Wait.
It is the truth.
I want to hear Erudite respond to the cuckold allegations.
Clarify what cuckoldry is.
And-
No,
and-
I don't want
and-
this. I don't want
no,
this.
no,
I don't want this. I don't
no.
want this.
Yes, you could keep going back to it, and we're gonna cycle till you grow old and just wither away.
So you
know?
won't answer the 911 operator
Because
question.
it's really retarded. Yes.
There's no good reason unless you're lying. So you're either a coward or you are lying. Which is it? Because if it's a dumb question, it should be easy for you to answer.
Oh, so you're either a liar if you genuinely believe that it's a dumb question, because I come up with things that could never be seen as dumb. So you are obviously lying.
Hey,
Let me
he
just
owned
say
it.
something.
He said
Let
yes.
me just say something.
A coward and a liar. We got him.
This is a pure case of the white woman snow bunny demon syndrome right now. Okay?
Whoa!
Ooh, now I know who we're dealing with. Now I know who we're dealing with. Gaslit! I'm being gaslit! You're all stupid! You're stupid!
Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of the Death of Certainty show, where we recognize, no matter how right we think we are, we might be wrong. We've got a show for you tonight. I have gathered a team. I have assembled a squad to discuss mental health, to discuss medicalization, and to discuss what connection, if any, there is between mental illness and bigotry. To what extent does therapy and medicalization primarily seek to help individuals versus enforce societal norms and productivity? Are people, particularly children and teenagers, overprescribed for medication for mental health problems? Is therapy just a scam to bleed people dry and or control the masses? And additionally, to what level is mental illness responsible for behavior or contributal to it? And we're going to get into it tonight, and we're going to start NotSoErudite. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, there's a kind of a bunch bundled in there. Does therapy and medication reinforce societal norms to be productive? Yeah, to some degree it does. The question is, are societal norms good or bad? Right? And I think there are some societal norms that we'll probably agree are probably not good to reinforce. For example, probably the way that we treat neurodivergence, probably not very good. But some societal norms seem to be good and productive, and therefore we do want people to conform because it seems to lead to a happier life. Are we overprescribing? Absolutely. The issue is it's tricky. A lot of people view this as like this top-down manipulation from the institution to like the weak and poor. The issue is that if you're a doctor and you don't give medications to your client, they're likely to just go doctor shop and find somebody else who will. And so there's an overprescription. And I would argue that this actually comes from the medical model of mental illness. I think that it's sold to us this concept of brain, basically that mental disorders are brain diseases. And if mental disorders are brain diseases, you probably do need biological intervention, and that seems to be not entirely true. Is therapy a scam? Sometimes. Some therapists suck. Most therapy is pretty good. But I don't think therapy overall is a scam. Are there things that could be improved about therapy? Yes, absolutely. Is Ye's behavior due to his mental illness, and to what degree? Hard to determine. The issue is a lot of people think that when somebody goes into a manic episode and then comes out, that they immediately realize that all of the thoughts that they had in their manic episode were silly and crazy. And that's not true. Like once you start having cognitive distortions, these things have they're like weeds that get roots through the rest of your system. And so it's really hard to know. The issue is, can somebody be mentally ill and an asshole? Yes, both of these things can also be true. I think what's a better question when it comes to Ye is to what responsibility does he have? I think that's a more interesting question because I don't think unless we can I don't think we know enough about psychology to actually satisfactorily answer to what degree is his behavior right now just directly a result, and his anti-Semitism would be the more important question. A result of his mental illness. I don't think we can know.
Okay, thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. Looking forward to get into it with you. Next up, first-time guest on my show, Karantos. Hello.
How you doing, Wick? Okay.
Right.
So check this out, right? I believe personally that therapy is financial cuckoldry, right? You go to somebody who's mentally ill, which most of these therapists are, to help you deal with your mental illness instead of relying on your community, your family, your friends. And I think that's pretty stupid. I also believe this whole idea that if you're depressed, just take some medication and it's gonna help you, which a lot of people do. A lot of people, let's say you're a student, you don't focus. No, now you're suddenly ADHD, right? That was pushed onto me as well. You're ADHD. If you take this medication, you're suddenly going to become an A student. That's what my teacher was telling me. My teacher was pushing my father to take me to a hospital, get me diagnosed, get on medication, because that's suddenly going to help me. No, it only took me maybe 10 years, and now I'm not so ADHD, right? So I believe that therapy in itself is not bad, but the way that it's being pushed, that everybody needs therapy, and if you're a certain way, that means you're mentally ill and you need to go to somebody to help you, and they're gonna put you on this fucking medication and you're gonna fucking turn out this way. I think it's pretty stupid. Also, the whole idea that Kanye, right, is mentally ill and that's why he's acting the way he is. No, last time I checked, you don't need to be fucking bipolar to be anti-Semitic, right? If you're a dipshit, you're a dipshit, right? One of the greatest things that I say is, I don't let your mental illness excuse your actions, right? Unless you're like an actual schizo and like you're eating your fucking nose, then I'll give you an excuse then. You know what I mean? I'm like, whatever, right? But for the most part, if you're mentally ill and you act pretty stupid, you're stupid. It's not the mental illness. The mental illness is a part of you, so you got to take responsibility over it. You got to be accountable for your actions. But yeah,
Okay.
that's what I believe.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll see how this goes for you. Next up, we have Smugbug.
Hi. Psychology is being ruined by acting like it exists in a vacuum. It's ruined by political and academic incentives, and I think it's been perverted into a framework for cramming people into a normative state of productivity, where they focus more on short-term wins based on the most marketable strategies to health institutions. I think a good example of this is the poster child for interventions based on good evidence, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It is for the most part a scam. A treatment that is efficacious in short-term experiments, but indistinguishable from most psychotherapeutic interventions in terms of effectiveness in naturalistic studies. Some people here may point to the efficacy of treatment in lab studies in the short term, with little regard for actual clinically relevant effectiveness in the long term. Those people tend to be so fixated on the aesthetic of quantitative data collection that they forget that all data has a bias, assumed perspective, and is a tiny, cultivated slice of the inner life of any participant. Just because it's a number with a p-value doesn't mean it isn't built on a mountain of assumptions and curation. The field of psychology suffers from these problems far more than most sciences, because unlike medicine, there is very little in terms of a failsafe to prevent cultural norms dictating what a symptom is and what cured means, because it's all in your head. I can take any data from any study and basically build any narrative I want. We've seen this from the historical diagnosis of sexualities, to the modern gender dysphoria diagnosis, to scandalous catastrophes when it comes to profitable findings like multiple personality disorder and embedded memories. Therapy can be helpful, but a modern iteration of therapy has no regard for the material circumstances of its patients, barely considers them relevant to the intervention, and prioritizes productivity, compliance, and integration over long-term personal growth, free expression, and self-actualization. It is largely a symbolic plaster on a festering societal wound, the double blind leading the blind.
Okay, Smugbug, thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to get into it. And last but certainly not least, first in my heart, WBD, come on, what do you got?
It was upon seeing The Matrix, Baudrillard, who wrote the simulation theory, said that The Matrix is surely the kind of film about The Matrix that The Matrix would have been able to produce. I think like Neo, the average neoliberal subject is constantly paranoid that something is wrong. But to answer this problem, we are in the midst of, I think, a self-obsessive revolution. Endless conversations about self-care, DIY, DSMers diagnosing and encouraging a culture of self-diagnosing on TikTok, self-medicating and over-medicating to cope with reality itself, and a constant creative concern with self-actualization. But what if we're just sick of ourselves? What if the problems we become socially fixated on are exactly the kind of hyper-individualist self-obsessions that one might expect a neoliberal culture to produce? I think this world is in a deep existential spiritual community crisis. We are extremely alienated from one another, and that's inevitably going to cause, I think, a lot of mental health problems. But we are incorrectly expecting therapy to be this everything solution. The DSM is just a diagnostic manual. It is not a perfect totality. It is constantly changing. Therapy is not omnipotent. These are overburdened people who are expected to be parents, spiritual gurus, teachers, authority figures, doctors, and now revolutionaries. But this is flawed system is not broken. I think it's inaccessible, but that's very different than fundamentally broken. So I'm bringing to the table today, I'm not an expert. I'm just a mentally ill woman who went through a wonderful experience with both cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. I also still believe there's a lot of room for irrational, spiritual, somatic practices and political self-actualization, but I think those are things that we need to develop alongside therapy, and therapy, I think, enables those realities to become true by helping you build the survival skills to cope with reality as it is today.
And Reservoir, thank you for the raid. 21 new wickers in chat, and we're ready to wick out. So thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping by. Next up, we have Joegurt. Please, go ahead.
Hey there. Thanks again for having me. I'm really nervous, so I'm going to try not to have too shaky of a voice here. But I'm coming here as someone who works in a pharmacy. I'm not a pharmacist, but I originally I talked to Wick about this topic a few days ago or a week ago. And it's something that I think about a lot, seeing a bunch of people every day come to the pharmacy and just pick up their drugs, and the way that they are and the way they behave, the things they say, and the stories that I hear from my pharmacists, from my patients or our patients and everything that we do there. It sort of just gets in my head a lot about whether or not people are taking medication for the right reasons, and if they're taking the medication for the right reasons, like as they're prescribed, then like what's the end goal, you know? So yeah, that's I don't really know what else to say as far as an opening statement, but I just think it's a slippery slope, and I worry that too many people are taking medications without a healthy off ramp.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for being here. You're a little bit of a last-minute addition. We had someone drop out, so we appreciate you being here. Joegurt, you're great. Allison, please, hello.
Hello. So, psychiatry, which I would say that the administration of psychotropic drugs to treat mental health problems, but also therapy, I would consider both of that to just be psychiatry. Like the first part of the question, does it help people or does it enforce social norms? I think it does both. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that those don't necessarily have to be in contradiction with one another, although they can be. So you have to be critical of the field, I think, in ways that you don't have to be as critical of other medical fields, although you should be like, you know, you should be an informed healthcare consumer, like no matter what you're seeking out healthcare for. Are people over medicated, like children and adolescents? Probably. At least in the US, it's harder to get data on this because we don't have a centralized healthcare system. So whenever people are doing these like, how many psych drugs are the teens taking? It's like looking at health insurance data, and it's just much harder to do. They are at least being diagnosed with psychiatric disorders at a much higher rate. So is this because mental illness is on the rise? Is this because the definition of mental illness has expanded so much? Is this because people are just more comfortable going to the doctor? Like there are all these like options, but one option is that people are resorting to medication sooner than they necessarily have to. Therapy, I do not think it's just a way of bleeding people dry. I do think that therapeutic trends happen that can be, really destructive, like whenever there's like a sort of fad in psychiatry. And there have been examples of that. And then the last part, Kanye, his manic depression, it doesn't excuse his behavior. I think it in large part explains it. It's not an excuse, but I think he's clearly on one. So again, we don't say it's fine or cool or that he's a great guy, but we can feel bad for him because he will pay for this eventually. Like even he's already paid for it. He just can't perceive it because he's too ill, but he'll come down eventually. So.
Okay, great. Well, a lot of thoughts been said. I'll open it up. If you have trouble getting your point in, hands, gang, hands.
But I want to ask, like, is anybody on here like a therapist?
I'm a licensed addictions counselor, so I'm not a therapist, but I do therapy.
Okay, so no, but okay, so the idea behind like taking medication and becoming overly reliant on them is one of my biggest concerns when it comes to people just like.
And you need to talk to a psychiatrist. Right? Psychologists don't recommend typically, and they don't prescribe. So unfortunately, we can talk about it broadband, but I think almost everyone in this panel agrees.
Let me get through my point first, right? A lot of people become reliant on these things, right? A lot of people think I cannot do this. I am ADHD. I am physically incapable of focusing, right? I have failed my math test because I can't focus. But then they go play fucking League of Legends for 12 hours straight without fucking breaking a sweat, right? They can focus on one thing that they really care about, but they can't focus on the other thing. That's why low key, like, if you ask me, I think ADHD is a bunch of fucking bullshit. I genuinely believe whoever came up with that shit was probably fucking stupid at one certain thing, and to excuse his stupidity was like, I'm ADHD, I can't focus on this, right? Because I have never come across in my life anybody that was ADHD that couldn't focus on one thing, right? Because that's the entire thing, right? I can't
Can I just
focus.
clarify with
I'm
you? If
attention
I
deficit,
provide
right?
if I provide evidence for you, I'm not sure. So this is potentially going to sound like a really big knock. It's not. I'm just trying to clarify because I don't know you very well, so I don't know like what presuppositions about the world you have. Do you care about like science and like data and evidence? Because if you don't, I just won't use those arguments with you. I'm just wanting to understand how you weigh things. Like if I showed you a study that showed like what you're describing is precisely what we would expect from ADHD. I'm not sure how much you'd care about the study. I'm just trying to understand how you feel about that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd care that much, to be fair, unless I
Okay.
took time to look at the study myself and see how that study was ran and all that stuff. I can't just take your word for it that it was a study that was done in
That's
good faith.
fair. Do you have experience with like research or anything like that?
No,
Or
but
like reading research?
where I'm coming from is just my life experience and what I've seen, whether it's
Sure.
online, whether it's people that have taken Adderall, whether it's people that have spoken about their ADHD diagnosis, whether it was the people that tried to put that diagnosis onto me. And for the most part, I just believe that it's a lot of shit. Like, that's just my opinion, though, right? I
So
can
you,
understand where you come from and say, okay, yes, it's a real thing, but at the same time, when I see people that say I can't do one thing, it always seems to excuse what they can't do by saying I'm fucking deficient here or I'm mentally ill with this, and this is my excuse. And that's why I just, I don't
so you
agree.
think like mental illness generally and specifically ADHD is an excuse?
I think not all mental illness is an excuse, but there's a lot of people that excuse their actions by claiming that they're mentally ill. Yes.
So I guess what I would
Francis,
say to you, Q, is basically what you're identifying, that society over relies on mental illness as an excuse, is a valid critique of society. The issue is that the critique doesn't prove that mental illness doesn't exist. It proves that people abuse mental illness labels, which I would fully agree with you on. I think that's what weaponized discourse started by saying, is that people will self-diagnose and self-ID and then use these labels to get out of things that they may or may not. So that exists. I would fully agree with you that the thing you described exists. The issue is that whether we care about science or not, there's things that we have to look at. Like when we're talking about ADHD, we're talking about a brain difference a lot of the time. We're talking about like white pathways that extend from like a mid part of your brain to a kind of a prefrontal cortex. It tends to be thinner and less strengthened. And so when we're talking about somebody with ADHD, we're talking about somebody like, how would you feel? I'd be curious, Q. I'm assuming you're listening to me. I'm not sure. I can't see your eyes, so I don't know how to read you. Okay. I just want to make sure you knew I was talking to you. So how would you feel about somebody who had like a congenital heart defect? So like one of the flaps in their heart didn't close properly, and because of that, they couldn't do like really, really rigorous activity because it could like kill them. Would you feel like it would be okay if they decided to like opt out of like certain extreme sports and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so in the case of ADHD, what we're talking about is a brain difference a lot of the time. And so that doesn't account for maybe all of the mood disorders and stuff like that, where there isn't really this like easier thing to put your finger on. But with things like ADHD, there's a much more stronger neurological correlate that we can point to say this is why this issue is happening. The hyperfocus isn't precisely what's going on. What we think is going on for ADHD people is that they get into flow states. Everyone gets into flow states, particularly when you're doing something that you enjoy. The issue is that they have executive dysfunction, which means they have a hard time organizing when to move in and out of things. And so when ADHD people experience flow, it's very weird for them because they almost never get to be focused. So when they experience flow, they like really tune into it, and they have a system that's bad at pulling them out of flow, which is why when they're playing their favorite video game, they can focus on it for 8 hours straight. But then you try to get them to do like math, which, let's be honest, like nobody but like weird people like math, and they don't want to do it. It's the same level that nobody else wants to do it, but they have a part of their brain that's making it incredibly more difficult for them to
So
actually
I'm trying to say
focus and
that their
attend.
brain, ADHD people's brain, is like constructed differently.
It's not
In a way that-
constructed differently. So there's a pathway that runs from like your midbrain to the prefrontal cortex, which sits just behind your skull. And that pathway, it's like a highway for communication, that pathway is really important for impulse control. That's one of the things that it does. That pathway, imagine that that's a highway, and ADHD people's highway has a whole bunch of like bumps and ruts and like, what's it called? Like big pockets in the, what are those called?
Potholes.
Potholes. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of potholes in ADHD people's like highway. And that means the systems that are supposed to be like, hold your brakes, like maybe focus, aren't working as well as other people.
So if it's something like you described it, right? They have a bunch of bumps and potholes in their neural pathways to their, or like to the front of their brain or something.
Yeah.
Then it's only through medication that it could be solved, right?
Well, there's a number of ways that you can solve it.
Yeah, but how
Medication
can you
is
solve
going to be the
something that it's in your brain? Like, how could someone talking to me, unless they're a wizard and they cast a spell, right? Then
Yes.
how
Okay.
does that happen?
Yes, let me tell you about the magic of that we call like therapy, which Smugbug's probably going to lose his shit on me about.
Oh,
I'm ready.
no,
I'm
don't
ready
stop
for
it.
this. We're going
So-
spells, gang. We're going spells. Anyway, sorry.
All right.
What you're opening this conversation up to is this issue that is called essentially neuroplasticity. Have you ever heard the word neuroplasticity?
No.
Okay, so neuroplasticity is kind of this newish finding. It's becoming now old news, but basically we used to think that brain cells, once they've developed and whatnot, that they're done, right? I'm sure you've probably heard that like brain cells, you don't get new brain cells throughout your life. I'm sure you've probably heard that before.
Or that they diminish, right?
Yeah,
As
yeah,
you
yeah.
grow older.
Yeah, so when we're born as babies, we have more brain cells than we need, and then they prune throughout our life. And then as you get old, you start losing some, and they'll start dying. We never get new brain cells, except for in like 3 areas of your brain. So in the case of therapy, we're not sure precisely what's going on, but probably part of what's allowing for things like behavioral modification is something called neuroplasticity. So while you don't get new brain cells, your brain cells basically get like, think about like a whole bunch of telephone wires, and your brain cell is like one operator at a telephone booth. And what happens in neuroplasticity is the operator remains. The operator doesn't change. And if the operator dies, that operation station is closed. We never replace it. But what happens in neuroplasticity is we set up new telephone booths and they get plugged in. And so now this operator that maybe only had 2 things that they could connect to and communicate with, now they can maybe connect with 4 different people or 4 other relay booths. So that's kind of what happens in neuroplasticity is it's not making new brain cells, but it is making new communication pathways. And then what happens with these pathways is that you can strengthen some while weakening others. So if I'm the telephone operator and I'm getting the signal where it's like, you know what's funner than math? Eating fucking tacos. We can do a whole bunch of behavioral application over time, repeatedly, to make you learn that the better solution is not to do tacos, but to like take a 2-second break and then go back into math.
Behavioral therapy sounds
Neuroplasticity is
like
basically
magic.
brainwashing.
It is magic. I wouldn't say, I mean, brainwashing, sort of, but what do you mean by brainwashing?
Because you just said, hey, we could make you think instead of, hey, I like tacos, or hey, start liking math. We're gonna dedicate more workers to like math in your brain, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
I would say
basically,
that's a
just
decision.
brainwash ADHD people out of being ADHD.
Yeah, but hold on. As a society, we find math very useful and productive, so we're trying to push more people into being able to engage with the things that, as a society, we've decided are important, like being able to focus on various tasks and productivity and sustaining, longer projects over a period of time.
Yeah, and I would also say, though, to push back Smugbug, I do think being productive also gives us a sort of existential fulfillment. Yes, I understand there's a strong cultural, social incentive to have us be productive, but I think if someone doesn't necessarily know how they are useful to humanity, they can actually have a really deep sense of existential guilt.
I agree, but there's a value to productivity on its own, sure, but that value is almost entirely dictated by society rather than individuals. Like, at this point, we're in a position where the norm is kind of defined, and if you're not... I mean, look, there's one big incentive, and it's pursuing profit, right? So, like, you need to handle your own economic circumstances at the moment. So, if you're not... if your brain isn't geared towards that, then therapy is a good way to mush you back into that hole, and, remove your neurodivergence. You're diverting from the norm, right? That's the whole point. So it pushes you back into...
Right, you're talking about the
Well-
myth of normal, right? You're like being very Eric Fromm of being like, what is normal, right? And I think that that's a valid critique. I think there are some things in society that we can say that we overvalue, like productivity, right? The issue is that ADHD isn't just about being productive and fitting into a cog of a wheel. I'm married to multiple people. I'm married to somebody with ADHD. My brother has ADHD. I'm not married to multiple people, not yet. We're working on that. Just kidding. Right, and so it's like, sure, yeah, it would be better for society if he could be like a really good cog in the wheel. However, he's adapted his life to still be productive and meaningful in a way that works within his ADHD. But that's not like ADHD doesn't affect other things, right? Forgetting your stuff constantly, losing your place in conversations, memory issues. So it's like, even if you're saying like neurodivergence is just society keeping, ND down, it's like not totally. Like that's such a dismissal of the breadth of how neurodivergence impacts neurodivergent people. You're basically like reducing it down to being like, oh, you just suck at being productive. And it's like, that is not the ADHD.
No,
person's
hold on.
experience.
I'm not doing that. First of all, I have severe ADHD myself. I was recently diagnosed with it. I'm like starting titration on Ritalin, the whole works, right? But the point that I'm making is that I have a lot of material conditions that make my life easier and give me the room to build coping mechanisms where I may not actually need the therapy or the medication to have a successful life. I'm doing pretty good. But I also noticed the difference between the, harsh restrictions when it comes to my economic situation. Like I need to achieve certain things that aren't very compatible with ADHD to be successful at work. But then, when I'm streaming, hey, ADHD is almost a boon. Like it kind of helps in terms of the way that I, work, like the way my brain works. So I see a very clear distinction between my economic life, the thing that sustains me and makes my life comfortable, and the thing that gives me a creative outlet. And these two things, one of them ADHD is good for, and one of them ADHD is bad for. And unfortunately, the one that I have to spend more of my life on is the thing that ADHD is kind of crippling for. But both could be productive.
How does ADHD medicine work, right? So you're hyperactive, you take it, and then you become what?
It's
Okay,
not just
so
hyperactivity. There's inattention as well. Like there's
So
there's a lot of symptoms to it.
It's really important to understand, though, that stimulant medication doesn't cure ADHD. Every single person who takes stimulant medications will focus better, right? So this is kind of the misnomer. I've had a bunch of people be like, well, I took a stimulant and I focus better. I must have ADHD. And it's like, no. That's not how this is working, right? What we're really talking about with the ADHD is taking somebody who's like processing speed and working memory is at like the fucking like 15th percentile and bringing it up to like average or like above average a lot of the time. That's what we're talking about. And so like I think Smug, you're actually bringing up a lot of really good points, which is criticism of society, particularly around neurodivergence. I don't actually think we're going to differ a lot on some of your critiques of society. I think the main thing that we fall into a trap with the neurodivergence myth of a normal thing is acting like even if society changed, that neurodivergence wouldn't still have some impacts on their life that are just necessary obstacles of their neurodivergence. Just like people with like congenital heart failure will always have certain things, but we should also try to accommodate them as best as possible.
Yeah, to that, right, gang?
Right, solved it.
You did it. You left
okay,
them speechless. But to that point, right? So, I guess just to interject a little bit here, one of the things that has disturbed me doing research for this topic, and just something I've noticed throughout the years, is how we have, I call it the uwuification of neurodivergence or mental illness, right? Like it's shown as just some quirky personality traits, right? But knowing my uncle has severe schizophrenia, and I have known other people who've had severe neurodivergence, it's not just quirky personality traits, and it doesn't matter like what kind of society we live in. They are going to suffer because they cannot perform the basic tasks, right, that normal people can in the same way. They can't socialize in the same way. There are multiple barriers that they have that they just cannot get past. So I'm curious, right? Like for those of you who are saying we're over medicalizing, that we are over medicalizing these things, right? Like what do we do about that? Like where do we draw these lines? Like how do we differentiate from crippling, right? Neurodivergence versus just neurodivergence that we could probably do through other means other than medicalization.
Well, we should clarify what neurodivergence
By
is.
neurodivergence, do we just mean mental illness? I'm confused.
No, we don't. I don't mean
Like,
that.
what's neurodivergent?
Sure. Yeah. Great. Everyone asks the same question. So I'm going to suggest a definition, and you guys can fight about it if you want to have a tautology, or we can just work with whatever definition I propose. Whatever your heart tells you. I would argue neurodivergence, which is, by the way, it is not a clinical term. It is not an empirical term. It was created by a journalist. I do think it's a good schema for our world, though, which is people who have differences in their brain functioning. So not depression. Depression is not typically considered neurodivergence, while something like autism, ADHD, and some type of schizospectrum disorders are considered neurodivergent. People with TBIs are often also considered under this. So it's typically some sort of conversation about a major brain difference going on. However, there are some neurodivergent people who would argue something else. So feel free to argue.
How many people have had therapy in this call, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
We've all been brainwashed by therapy. Oh no!
Shit. Oh, okay. Okay, now I know him.
Wait, can I ask one more thing? How many people here exercise?
I'm the old man.
Now I know who we're dealing with. Now I know who we're dealing with.
Got him.
Hey! Exercising is propaganda. Okay, listen. If
you're not going to therapy, if you're gonna finger wag us in therapy,
the norm of looking ripped.
What is this? Yeah, you're forcing the societal norms onto me. What the hell?
I am saying. I'm getting in your worldview, brother. If you're saying that it's weak to go to therapy, I'm saying it's pathetic not to go to the gym.
Okay, I'll say that. Okay, I'll not say that it's weak to go to therapy. I'll say that maybe you're slightly a bit, kinky, and you're into the idea of somebody taking your money without offering you anything of value.
Oh, the cuckoldry thing. What do you think cuckoldry is?
Okay. Whoa. What if I got my therapy free?
What if I got my therapy free? You are low-key a cuck. Yes, I'm sorry. It is the truth.
I want to hear Erudite respond to the cuckold allegations.
Financial cuckold. Just like people who gamble.
Pay pig is the clinical term, I believe.
Clarify what cuckoldry is. I'll use your definition.
When I'm speaking about financial cuckoldry, it's like people that gamble, right? You go to a casino and you got like $1,000, and then you give them $1,000, but hey.
Can I pause you? Can you not define it with an example? No. I'm going to stop you. No, I don't want this. I don't want this. Don't give me an example.
I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. You've been running the show pretty well, but let me just finish what I'm saying.
No, stop. I'm just going to clarify.
Financial cuckoldry, right? Rick, I'm sorry, but
can you give an example? Can I get an? I don't. So what I'm trying to ask, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just you started. I said, "What's an example?" Can you define cuckoldry? And you started giving me a different example, which is going to lead. I don't want an example. I don't want an example. I want you to define it, because if you give me another example, I'm just going to be confused still. So what I just want is a definition.
You haven't heard the example, so how could you claim you?
You said something like people who gamble. That is not. I know that I'm going to have questions about.
I'm not done with it though, right? So. If you go to a casino with $1,000 and then you get back $100, but you got it back in one big lump sum, right? And then now you're glad. Now you think you're a winner, right? It's the same idea. You go to a fucking therapist, right? You pay them however fucking much dollars an hour, right? And they help you the tiniest, but you spend hours and maybe they tell you something you already fucking knew. Just like, hey, I don't work out. I know I need to work out if I want to get fit, right? It's that simple. But you're claiming to be that mentally ill people.
Okay, stop. Okay, let's go back. I already told you. I told you that if you gave me an example, I was going to have questions. So now I'm going to ask my questions. So when you say cuckoldry, based on your example, which was not a good definition, but I'll grant it to you, I think what you're saying is basically when you spend money and it is a useless expenditure of money. Is that how you're defining cuckoldry?
When you spend money on something you could get for free.
Okay,
you could
there we go.
For free, and you could get it way better.
See how I didn't need your example? All we needed was that definition. So we got.
Hold on. Wait, Q.
This isn't the fucking
Q. Wait. You said this. Hold on. You said this at the start. You said that when you say you could get it for free, you were talking about like family and friends and connection and stuff like that. That's where you can get the same like there. Yeah, look, it's true that like relationships are a good foundation for a lot of like mental health outcomes, right? If you've got a strong support network, a lot of things tend to go better for you. That's true. But not everyone has that support network. So how do you get that support network? Hold on. Where do you get Q? Where do you get that support network if you don't have it already?
Check this out, right? Check this out. If you don't have friends, if you don't have family, if you don't have a community, it's probably why you're fucking sad and mentally fucked. So
wait, hold on. Yes, wait. That's quite likely.
There you
That's
go.
quite likely. Yes, that's quite likely to cause you mental health issues. So, what is the prescription? What should we do if you speak to the person who was born in an isolated family? Maybe both their parents died. They're on their own. They've got no friends. They grew up in a fucking suburban wasteland. They have no wonderful community church to go to build relationships. Where do they get that from? How do they solve that problem for themselves?
We're basically speaking about the outliers, right? Like the fucking 1%.
Yes, we're trying. Hold on. First of all,
we're trying to find the solution for everybody, apparently, right? So if a solution
let's talk about these outliers. Wait.
Not effective.
Okay, wait. Sorry, I'm just asking you how we deal with this group of people who are alienated from society and don't have these relationships that you say most people can get for free.
I think that a lot of mentally ill people, I think all mentally ill people, in fact, they could take their own fucking life into their own hands.
That's not the question I asked. That's not the question I asked. Are you going to answer the question?
I'm answering you.
Okay, all right. Make your way. Take the scenic route, buddy.
If they're in a situation where they have no family, where they have no friends, where they have no community, it is upon them. Like, they need to actually go and start creating these connections. If they're feeling lonely, if they're feeling depressed because they have nobody to talk to,
where do you
do this?
What building do they go to?
They live in the fucking middle of a desert.
What building? Hold on. Okay, so so they knock on their neighbor's house.
First of all, you could go to a myriad of places. Hell, you could even go online and make online friends. You could do so many things. Like, why are we talking like this back in the 1800s?
Because this is important. Because we're trying to solve for this group of people. All right, we're trying to use your method for solving the problem that we're talking about,
which is this group for people as a whole. But right now,
no, we agreed to talk. We're talking about the alienated group of people who don't have the friends and family that you say most people have for free. It's true that most people have for free friends and family. Most people end up, are in an okay situation on that front. But we're talking about how to solve the problem for people who don't have those existing connections. What if they never learned how to make those connections? What if they grew up in circumstances where it's very difficult to make friends, or they never learned how to make friends, and it resulted in them being nervous or concerned or finding it difficult to build relationships with people? Where do they go to learn how to build relationships with people when they never got the chance to in their childhood?
You come to my stream.
In America,
you come to Wick's
like that. What the fuck?
No,
okay.
Wick.
So okay. Check this out. You gave me a bunch of what ifs. It's like you told me, what if they're blind? What if they have no arms? What if they have no legs? What if they have no ears? What if they're just a fucking nugget?
I'm not hearing a lot of answers to these problems. Why do we have answers and you don't?
No. That wasn't an answer. You just gave me the most fucking lopsided, biased fucking creature that
I asked you a question.
Right?
It was just a question.
No. I'm answering you. I'm answering you, Smug, but at the same time, I want you to recognize that what you asked me is retarded. But I'll still answer.
Oh, well, then you should be able. It should be very easy for you to answer. Then, if I'm so low IQ, it should be pretty straightforward. Go ahead, buddy.
If this person, you're telling me. So I told you, if he's alone, you can still go online, and then you're like, what if he's socially awkward? What if he can't go online? That's what you said, right?
You're just going to stall by repeating back my...
No, then what does he do? I'm trying to understand you because your question was pretty stupid.
Oh, I can repeat it for a third time if you like.
Okay, we don't need to repeat it for a third time. Just real quick.
Okay, well then you can answer it.
Stop! Everyone stop. I'm going... Oh god, we gotta get off this. Okay, Karatos?
We gotta get an answer! You can't just let... Is he just gonna walk away?
Breathe.
He's got nothing? Nothing? That's his prescription? Nothing?
I'm going to let him respond briefly. I want to let him respond briefly. Then Allison's wanted in for a while, and Weaponized Discourse wants in. So, brief response, and then Allison.
Yes, brief response. He goes to therapy, the therapist is bad, and he fucking ends his life. That's your answer.
Ace. All right, problem solved. No, that's it. That's all the answer I wanted. All good.
You put so much value into the therapist, and then you have a shit therapist, and then now you're truly hopeless. Now you're truly down bad because you're one haven, you're one place that you're one.
I agree. Hey, sir, I agree. Wait, hold on. I agree. I was asking you what your solution is, but I agree. I think that we probably need to pay more attention to their circumstances outside of therapy to help give them opportunities to build relationships and social structures without relying entirely on therapy as like a band-aid solution on their existing problem, and instead do everything we can to avoid the situation in the first place. Now, we're not always going to be able to avoid the situation, right? But there are things that we can do to improve society broadly, which Wick will get mad about.
If you want me to say,
if I talk
some people need therapy because they genuinely have nothing, like they're so down bad and like they're so miserable. If you want me to give you that, I'll give it to you. Some people, they have to do it.
We made progress. Beautiful.
but nowhere near as much people that are going to therapy today. All the niggas don't need that shit.
All right,
I'm
so
done with
is your
you.
problem?
Okay.
Although they're still being financial cucks, even if they really need it.
Okay, enough.
So the issue is like, how do we solve the problem? And I think this is a really complicated one. There is a lack of medical technology required to understand things like depression. We didn't even realize that there was 2 major etiologies of major depressive episodes until 2018. And we didn't realize that SSRIs only target one of them. So the studies that Q is talking about, there are some studies that show that SSRIs have almost no effect long-term, but that's particularly for people who have a stress-induced depression. However, this is something Q might not be aware of. SSRIs are quite effective on people with MDE, which is a biological cyclical form of depression that gets triggered epigenetically after 4 to 5 stress episodes of depression. SSRIs are very effective for those individuals. And so this issue of like, is it bio? Is it the brain? Or is it culture? This is why the biopsychosocial model is becoming the more preferred model, is because, but the problem is the biopsychosocial model is a giant nothingness statement. It's like, it's everything, which means it's nothing at the same time, right?
So there's problems, there's no solutions, basically.
Well,
Like,
that's not that there's no solutions. I would put forward a couple of solutions. One of the solutions is increase in gatekeeping of psychological terms, decreasing decreasing the National Institute of Mental Health needs to stop selling the medical model as the only model of medical health. It's a really bad model. It works for things like schizophrenia and bipolar pretty well. It falls apart with things like anxiety and depression, though. It's just not a great metric for it.
Like advertising medicine like on TV. Because I've only seen, like, at least where I grew up in the Middle East, I've never ever seen that. But like, if you look at like U.S. television and they're just advertising fucking Prozac or like Adderall or something.
Fight Club the shit out of Big Pharma. Just like tear them down a little bit.
Yeah,
Cut out some
like,
bureaucratic
do
load.
you guys think that's normal? Like, hey,
Audit them.
buy the Big Mac and get a Prozac. You know,
Well,
like, does that make any sense?
If you want me to get into my critiques of Middle East mental health, I can get into it, but I'd prefer America's system over the Middle East.
Mental health does not exist if you don't believe in mental illness, okay?
That's just not true. That's
the
just not
poor
true.
kid in Nigeria, okay? A poor kid in Nigeria that lives in a hut doesn't have the privilege to be ADHD. Oh my
You are
goodness.
absolutely
let him
correct
come
about
back
that.
and say that I am ADHD. Oh wait, I am OCD. I am OCD. Mom, I want to pick up the pot a certain way.
Yeah. Survival takes priority. We agree on this. Yes, it's hard to be depressed on a desert island when you're fighting for survival every day.
At least, by the way, I think you guys think that I'm anti-therapy, right? Listen,
we're not
no,
sure where
you agreed. Well, hold on.
Exactly, you're not
agreed.
sure. I could tell. That's why when I brought up,
you agreed. Wait. You literally agreed earlier that therapy is useful for some of the outliers we were talking about to help build relationships. So I know you're not.
The one guy with like 16 fingers, you might need like to get some surgery done, right? But if you have like one extra,
well, who's to say 10 is the appropriate number of fingers?
So how do you think?
Yes.
Q. Autism maintains a pretty consistent prevalence rate universally across populations. Do you think the Middle East handles autism well? Autism is not an opt-in. Depression does seem to.
I think they handle it really well because I've never seen an autistic Middle Eastern, but I've seen plenty of autistic Americans in my chat. I ain't gonna lie. So like,
yeah,
but pretty much,
I'm going to tell you right now, they don't handle it very well.
How do you know?
Because I work regularly. No, because I work. I'll give you personal experience because you care about personal experience. I run a service that some people have big feelings about, where I help people find therapists. I have had dozens of people reach out to me from Middle Eastern countries, and I can tell you it is a nightmare. Most of them have been autistic, and I can tell you that they have no supports. Their family doesn't understand them. They are struggling. They get beat up constantly. They have a horrific life, and I cannot for the life of me find a therapist. I have looked basically the closest I could get was to find them an Austrian person who would do teletherapy with them. Like they're going out of continent at this point to find mental health supports.
Are you basically like BetterHelp?
No, you're fully misconflating.
No, but
I don't offer therapy.
But you said you get people and you find them therapists. So you do kind of offer therapy. You're not the therapist. BetterHelp, they have people volunteer on their thing. I don't think they work for BetterHelp.
So I'm like the operator.
I would like to understand.
Okay, if I called 911 and the operator sends me police, does that mean that the 911 operator is a policeman?
They're the one who sent you the police, though, right?
Yeah,
So
but
if
are
I
they a
send-
policeman?
but
Wait,
hold on.
stop,
But if I
stop.
send a hitman to fucking kill somebody, then I'm still gonna be charged with the murder
This
too.
has nothing to do with what we're talking
How
about.
does it not have anything to do with it?
My Uber
Let me
Eats driver is a
redirect you.
great cook.
Yeah, let me
No,
redirect you
I'm
to
not
my
saying
original
that
question.
I'm not
If
saying
you
she's
call
a therapist. I'm saying
911
she's offering therapy.
No,
She's
I am
offering
not
them as
offering
like a
therapy.
service.
I am
Like
connecting.
from
So, is the 911 operator a policeman just because they've connected you to a
example.
policeman?
Shit
No, it's
example.
it's a perfect example.
Not-
Answer the question.
Yeah, of course it is too. You're the one who came up with it. Duh,
Okay,
but
you
no,
can come
look,
up with a
it's
better one
shit.
after, but why don't, if it's such a bad question, it'll be simple for you to answer and then we can
Yes,
move on to
yes, I
something else.
told you no is pretty dog shit. I want to
Okay.
give you dog shit examples. Do
So you're
better
just
is what I'm
going to
trying
cower it
say.
away? You're going to cower it away from it?
No, I am asking you to do better.
Yeah, but
That's
if
what I'm
you're so
asking you.
smart, you should be able to handle this question
Oh,
easily,
No, if
and
I'm
then we
so
can move on to
smart,
something
I know
else.
not to fucking
Why is it
engage
taking
in
so long to
stupid
answer a
arguments.
fucking question,
It's
dude?
pretty
Please just
retarded. I'm
answer
not
so we
gonna-
can move
no.
on.
It's
You're just
pretty
being a
retarded.
coward.
Oh.
You're just a coward. That's the
No,
only
I'm
other
not.
alternative.
No.
No,
A
hold on.
coward to you is
If
somebody
you-
who
no.
wouldn't fight a fucking
Okay,
rhino with his
Imagine
bare hands.
hiding your
That's
true
a coward
identity.
to you.
I would
There are
never.
Because
two.
you want
There
to
are
take
two
the fucking
options
blood
of what's
the
going
rhino.
on.
To
Wick,
you,
can
a
you mute him
coward
for like
Oh
2
boy.
that
seconds?
you should be able
Okay,
to knock
I'm
out
back.
an
Hey,
elephant.
we need to have one person
Okay.
at a time, okay? Erudite, you can finish, and then Karatos can respond. Smug, let him fight. One of the reasons he's having such a hard time is because you keep jabbing in. So let Erudite, and then
Smug
Karatos
agrees with me.
after Smug can come.
Okay.
Funny.
I was
So
trying to
there are-
help, but all right.
There are two. So I asked you a question that you're refusing to answer. I'm going to keep asking it, which is the 911 operator that you call the same as a policeman? And now there are two reasons that you could refuse to answer this. If it's actually a dumb question, then basically there's no good reason unless you're lying. So you're either a coward or you are lying. Which is it? Because if it's a dumb question, it should be easy for you to answer.
Oh, so you're either a liar if you genuinely believe that it's a dumb question because how do you
Well,
say
if you
it?
think it's a dumb question,
Not
it should
so,
be
I'll
easy to
tell you not
answer.
so. I don't
If
know
it's
the last
not
time.
easy to
But
answer, then you're a
hold
coward.
up.
Or you're
like,
lying to me.
I come up with things that could never be seen as dumb. So you are obviously lying, or you're being disingenuous, and you're a coward.
So
Again,
which one is
it's
your
pretty
answer? Are you a
loaded. It's
coward or are
pretty
you a
loaded.
liar? Or do you want to
No,
answer the question?
what I would say is the third option. You're not living
Both.
up to your standards, I assuming that they're better than this. So I'm asking you to do better and come up with something else because
So I'm going to go
your
back to the
example is
911
pretty weird.
operator.
Yes, you could keep going back to it, and we're gonna cycle till you grow old and just wither away.
So you
know?
won't answer the 911 operator
because it's
question.
pretty retarded. Yes.
Okay, so
Yes,
you're a
I wanna
coward
be with that.
or you're a liar.
Okay, let's
Yes.
get off the
No,
loop.
Wick, let me just say
Okay,
something, right?
Hey,
Let me
he
just
owned
say
it. He
something.
said
Let
yes.
me just say
He's
something.
a coward and a liar. We got him.
There we go.
This is a pure case of the white woman snow bunny demon syndrome right now.
Whoa.
Okay?
Whoa!
just saying,
We're not
I'm
gonna.
just saying.
No. We are going to be
911. What's
everyone right now. That we do not allow that kind of language on this stream, right? We do not do this kind of fucking weird slurs against white people. Not gonna have it. Not gonna allow it. You can critique Erudite. That's fine, but we are not going to do that. Are we good? We good? Okay.
Yes, she called me either
She
a
called
liar
you
or
a
a
coward,
coward,
yes.
but I
Coward or a liar.
I said
Or
that
you could
she's
answer
a
the
snow
question.
bunny demon, and apparently, and by the way, that wasn't against. Okay,
So,
wait 1 second. That wasn't
let's move on
against
to the
white
greater
people.
point.
That wasn't against white
All right.
people. Okay.
Let's
Those
go
are
back
white
to the
people.
broader question. Do you think
Specifically, a
autism is
certain
handled
type of
well in
white
the Middle
woman.
East? Do you think autism is handled well in the Middle East?
That's not, last time.
Well,
last
you
time I
already
checked,
you
that's
already
not what we
answered
were
my
talking
other
about.
question. You said I'm a coward and
No,
a liar. So now we're moving on to the
last time
Middle
I checked,
Eastern.
that wasn't. Last
Okay.
time I checked, that wasn't what we were talking about.
Well, that was
Right?
the question that
So unless
preceded this.
no, it's just like you wanted to keep repeating the same thing over and over again, like a broken record.
as if you
right?
haven't been, dude.
Where would you like to
Smart,
go,
I
Q?
haven't been.
Where would you
I
like to
haven't.
go, Q?
I'll tell you right now. This whole fucking argument that I never claimed that you're a therapist. I'm saying you're connecting people to therapists. So you're
Yes.
offering them something that they don't have access to. Just like BetterHelp is offering people that don't have access to therapists to therapy. They're not providing therapy. I'm pretty sure if you looked at their terms of service,
BetterHelp is
they say
providing
that they
therapy.
don't.
You just misunderstand what the company does then, which is fine. But BetterHelp does provide therapy because BetterHelp hires counselors, and then it just connects you to their counselors and takes a portion of the counselor's income. BetterHelp is directly offering therapy. The therapist I connect my clients to, I have no oversight, and I get no dollars from the therapist for the connection that I've made. I only get
So the
paid for making the
freelancers
connection.
on Fiverr, they work for Fiverr because they give a cut to Fiverr. They work for Fiverr,
Yes.
right?
Yes, just like I work for
Twitch.
YouTube
I
and
work
Twitch.
for
Yes.
Twitch, right?
Yes. These therapists do not work for me. So I am not doing therapy.
Because I don't see it that way. Then we disagree.
Okay, then you
Yes.
don't understand.
Okay.
Then you don't
Okay.
understand businesses.
Yeah, of course, then I don't understand business. Then I'm dumb.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Can we bail on this? Christ!
Okay,
We
enough.
can move on.
Okay.
We
Enough.
can move on.
Thank you, gang, for being here. Thanks, everyone, for coming. I hope you have a wonderful evening. We are not ending the stream. We are going to stick around and do a little small Q&A, right? Wobby D, you're welcome to join me if you want. You don't have to. No pressure. But Kratos, we're going to talk about a little bit about being how should I put this? Not being racially insensitive. Okay? But the rest of you can leave. You can go now. It's fine. I'll see you guys
The
later.
teacher has dismissed all of you, okay? I'm the one who stays after class, okay?
Okay. But thank you for being here, and I love you each and every single one in every single way possible. So thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll just move you out then.
Wait, what? No, no, no!
Wait, I thought we were staying for the after show.
If you'd like to,
yeah.
we can do.
Yeah, I'm done to
You're
stay.
more than welcome. Okay, and gang, we are opening this up, right? We're gonna have a little talk with Kurantos here, and then after that, if you want to call in and if you have questions for me, Whoopi, or Erudite, you may, right? And you can call in and ask us about anything that's been said here tonight or any questions that we didn't address, anything like that. You're more than welcome. So thank you for being here. Kurantos.
Give me 1 second. I'm failing Jordan Peterson. I gotta like fix my bed. Hold on.
You gotta fix your bed. Okay. While he's fixing his bed, and I'll mute him while he's fixing his bed until he's done. Okay. We gotta have a behavioral therapy here, right? Okay. I think he's done. Okay. Kurantos.
Okay.
Do you understand why I got angry at you today?
Yes.
Okay. Why? Can you tell me why?
Because you have perceived my snowbody demon remark as a racial remark that is pointing out.
Yes. Do you understand why I would be against stuff like that?
Check this out. When I said something, right? When you said something and I said something, people had a problem with that. And I don't mind. I love the whole 5v1 thing. I live for this stuff. I don't really care. It's just that when I said, you know what I said, right? And then Wick took it as, oh my God, I called you the N-word, right? Right? Like I found it slightly ridiculous because again, it's not something that is applicable to all white women. That's why I don't see it as something insane. And this goes to you, by the way. I'm speaking to you directly when I say it, right? Right?
Sure.
When you take it as a racial attack, it isn't necessarily a racial attack.
Can I
because I'm not
provide
applying
some
it.
context to why this is an issue for me right now? So I am
Please do, man.
Okay, so I am on a list, right? I've been informed of this and shown evidence that this is the case of people who are actively trying to demonetize me, demod me, to get me off of the internet, right? I'm on a list with other streamers such as Tweets from Star, such as Chudlogic. There's quite a few of us. So I try to very carefully stay away from anything that can be even close to toss, because these people will try to clip me out of context, clip people on my show out of context, and use that to get me kicked off the internet. So that's why I'm very careful. One of the reasons I'm very careful that about this stuff. Does that make more sense?
Oh, no, that's absolutely fair. Because at the end of the day, I'm a guest on your platform, right?
Could I ask you why you think that I'm specifically this not the unsaid word? Like why specifically you said not all white women, but she for sure is. Can I ask you why you think that that's true about me?
Yeah, I think I already. Oh shit! Chai Bunny, speaking about the unsaid word, Chai Bunny, thank you for the resub. I appreciate it. Okay, see, I have them. They sub to me, Wick. You see, I'm not a racist, but I get it. I get where you come from. Okay, so I've already went into it, right? But I'll go into it again. the way that you were carrying yourself, that's unfair. I'll elaborate, right? The way that you were carrying yourself, from the smugness to the attitude to the slight digs that were, out of the blue, right? And it's just, I guess saying the general vibe wouldn't be fair, but at the same time, it was the general vibe, right? When I'd say something, it would go dismissed. You would go on about your whole studies, your statistics. You'd bring up a example that I don't agree with, and then now it suddenly goes into the, oh, you're either lying or you're a coward because you don't accept this, right? And I'm not talking about your disagreeableness, right? You could be disagreeable. Just because a woman is disagreeable, or a white woman in your case is disagreeable, doesn't make her a snowbody demon. But that, coupled with the attitude, coupled with like everything that was going on, gave me heavy, and the whole quarterbacking thing. Wick, I don't want to be on your ass about this, but Jeebus, dude, right? Anyways,
So,
it's just
no,
the whole,
just real
the
quick,
entire
let me
vibe
explain
of
while
being
I'm
seen
doing
as the
that,
authority,
because
being
I
the voice
know
that
we
is
have a
most
working
valued.
relationship,
Fucking hell.
right? I have a working relationship with Erudite, and I trust her to direct conversation so that I don't have to. I'm delegating a little bit, because on my panels, I let my panelists, right, direct the conversation to where they want to go, within reason, within limits, right?
So
And so that's something I let Smugbug do, I let Allison do, I let Joegurt do, I let Weaponized Discourse do. Erudite likes to do it a lot, and that's okay.
Error.
So I guess here's kind of the issue that I think we're running into. My digs at you were mean. I was mean. I don't know what you're saying about my tone and attitude, because I think I actually went like exceedingly out of my way to be pretty steady toned the entire time. The issue is that like I said that like this is the big boy table, and I don't insult people like a loser. I'm not a child. I insult people like a man. I'm grown up. I respect the culture of the debate space, which means I'm not going to attack people for immutable characteristics, because that's generally not respected in this space. However, I will levy serious criticisms like you're a coward or a liar. I do stand by those criticisms. The only reason that you were unwilling to respond to that question where I said, is the 911 operator a policeman? At first you said policeman, and I said, how is that even possible? And then you walked it back and you refused to answer it. And the way you went about answering it was in many ways by actually condescending at me, by saying you are stupid, you're asking a stupid question, which is putting yourself up and putting me down by saying, I am dumb to ask the question. And so then I said, if I'm so dumb and the question is bad, there are only two solutions here. There's three. You either answer the question because it's dumb, so that would mean it's simple and easy to answer, or you're a coward, meaning that you won't answer the question because you're afraid of what the question could imply about your argument, or you're lying and you are not willing to be honest about the fact that you had walked it back and that your argument was silly and dumb, which is to say, I'm not offering, and it was such a piddly argument over nothing. My business doesn't matter to you, nor do, like, in any way. I don't think you care about the fact that I have this business. I don't even think it was a central point to the argument. And this is why I held you on this, is because if you're going to make an argument, walk it back and then refuse to answer a question while condescending at me for being stupid, you need to be.
Could you repeat back to me? What was my argument?
Your argument was that my question was very stupid and not about the point, and so you wouldn't entertain the question because it was stupid.
That wasn't in the beginning. In the beginning, I'm pretty sure that I said, no, I'm not going to engage with this question because this question is you're putting it in wrong ways. It's a bad example. I'm pretty sure I said it's a bad example. And then you decided to double down, right?
Yes.
And then I said, you're going to keep doubling down. I will state that this is a stupid question. That's when I said it's a stupid question or a stupid example, and I'm not going to engage with it because it's stupid. And then you started saying it's either you genuinely believe it's stupid or you're lying, and you immediately latched onto that. You're lying. There's no way you believe this is stupid, so you're lying, or you're being.
Well, I don't think you're a coward. That's the thing. The options were coward or lie. I don't think you're a coward. You 5v1 people the entire time. There's no way that you're a coward. That must mean that you're lying. Because I don't think you're stupid, unless you want to tell me that you're
But at the same time, you don't know. But to assume that I'm a liar would assume that you already know enough about me that you could make that.
It was based on your answers. Based on your answers and your walk back. That you're either a liar, a coward, or possibly stupid. But I don't think you're stupid.
How did I walk it back, though?
You said policeman. I said, is the 911 operator a policeman? And you said yes at first. And then I said, are you really? And then you went, well, hold on. That's a stupid example. That's what happened.
Then didn't I give you an example that showed you why I believe that? Right? So I was like,
you talked about a rhino.
hitman, no, not the rhino. If I said if I sent a hitman to kill somebody, I would be still charged with killing that person. Just like if a security guard kills somebody in a bank that's being robbed and he's trying to protect the money or whatever, it's not him who's going to be charged. It's the robber because he's the one who engaged. He's the one who started. He was the catalyst. So that's the example that I brought up. And you, just like I did, decided to ignore it. I didn't call you a liar because I don't know enough about you to call you a liar, right? I just said you don't want to engage with my example. I don't want to engage with your example, and we'll leave it at that.
No, I was testing your level of faith. So a really important thing to ascertain. Yeah, so a really important thing to ascertain in a debate is the level of faith that's being engaged in. Essentially, is it good, neutral, or bad faith? Because you need to respond to bad faith interlocutors who are lying very differently than you need to respond to good faith interlocutors who are misunderstanding you. Because if all that was happening was a misunderstanding, or you were uncomfortable, or you just wanted to bail out of the question, that's different than you're lying to me, right? If you're lying to me, you're being bad faith, definitionally. And it's important to ascertain what those things are.
So you believe that I'm lying because you think that I said yes, and then I walked it back.
You said that the 911 operator is a policeman, and then I said, are you serious? And then you walked it back and said, it's a stupid example.
And I told you why it's a stupid example, and I gave you a better example. That
you gave me a
thought.
Much worse example. So let me explain to you
again,
why.
But see, that's your opinion, right?
No. This is not about opinion. This is about logic. This is about basic logic. If you're going to engage in a debate, yes. So I will. And I'm not trying to condescend to you, by the way. I don't think that I'm better than you. I think we're having misunderstandings.
Never say you were.
I know. I'm clarifying. No, I'm not projecting. I'm clarifying.
No, it's all right. Yeah, absolutely. Please clarify.
Okay. How do I go forward with this with you in good faith when you're telling me that I'm projecting? Like, it seems like, what is the correct answer for me other than just agreeing with you?
I'll tell you why I said you're projecting, because you brought that up out of nowhere. I never said that you're being condescending right now. You just felt like you had to bring that up, and that's why I said you're projecting, because you brought it out of nowhere. I'm not saying I don't throw things out without having logic and reason behind them, right? So that's why I'm saying you're projecting. It's not like anything in bad faith. And you also said that when you asked me about
if you could stop with the Can we not do the pussy bitch shit where we say this is my truth and this is my opinion? I don't care. I don't care about that. And I don't think you do. It's cringe though. It's cringe.
Yeah, but how is it my
cringe?
Truth? When did I say it's my truth?
You just said that. You said it's my opinion. You said that's just your opinion. And I said no.
But it's my opinion. It's my opinion because
logical fallacies are not a matter of opinion. They're not a matter of opinion.
Hold on. You brought it out of the blue. I'm not being condescending. I was like, I never said you were. You're projecting that because you brought it out of the blue. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. I may have stated it as it's an opinion.
I said that I was going to explain to you why your example was a bad example, and you said this is your opinion. And I said, no, I don't want to do this. Remember when the left used to constantly just go, this is my truth. This is my opinion. It's fucking cringe. It's cringe when the left did it, and it's cringe that the right's doing it now. I don't care what your opinion is. It doesn't matter. This isn't about my opinion. When we're talking about things like logical argumentation or fallacies, there are certain things that you can definitely look at that all sides can agree on. Otherwise, if it's just your opinion, nothing's true.
Okay. Now, prove it to me logically that I was a liar.
Okay, so let me walk you through your argument.
Okay. Just to let you guys know, this is a very interesting conversation, but we do have like a line growing, so.
Okay, we're gonna get through this quick. Please go on.
I don't know if we will though, because so this is the issue.
No, just basically tell me your.
I am. So you said yes, a 911 operator is a policeman, and I said, are you serious? And you realized, I think you're smart enough that you realized that was a dumb answer. That's not the right answer. The answer was no, the 911 operator is not a policeman. And it's a perfect comparison to my business because my business functions like a yellow books. Essentially, I help you look through all of the millions of options of therapists. I assign the one that's best suited to you. I give them 3 options, and then I'm fully disconnected, which is very different than me offering therapy. And it's an important distinction because it would be unethical for me to find people a therapist and then offer them therapy and take a cut. That would be unethical at my training level to do so. So it's a really important business distinction. So Then, after I said, "Are you serious?" you gave a different example, which was about a crime, where you said, "If I hire a hitman, doesn't that still make me liable for the crime?" A crime is not the same type of responsibility direction as a yellow book business. So if, say, I directed, do you think if I gave somebody a therapist and the therapist was really bad, would I be ethically liable for that therapist being bad?
No, the therapist was bad.
No, I would have no. But if I hired a hitman, am I ethically liable if I hire the hitman and he murders somebody? Am I liable for the murder?
Ethically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ethically, yeah.
That's why. So this is why your example was
legally.
bad. It was a non sequitur to what I was saying,
The
and
problem-
my example was precisely what we were talking about.
Well, let me just say this. The problem with this that you bring up right now is, I know this is, now obviously you're going to think I'm being bad faith right now, but I
No, not necessarily. I'm just willing to grant you good faith.
genuinely do not remember saying yes.
Okay,
when you
that's
said
fair.
Police dispatcher, a policeman. I don't remember saying yes. So
That's fair.
for me to engage with you right now would be basically without me actually genuinely remembering if I said this or not, believing you.
Yeah,
Which
no, I'll just
I
grant
don't
you
know
that.
I'm not inclined to just believe you out of the blue, so I can't do that, right? So
Sure.
that's the issue that I have with this.
Yeah, so when you
and
said
I
yes,
understand that your hang up, right? I understand that your hang up with me is because of that, which I can't remember, because of me saying yes, then shifting to no based off of your reaction, right? So you're saying that based off of my reaction, I immediately suddenly realized, oh shit, I said something stupid. Let me just pivot onto another example and deviate from this one. That's what you believe, right?
Mhm.
I can't change your opinion. Obviously, I think if that's how it went down,
Mhm.
it is all right if you believe what you believe based off of what you've seen. That's absolutely correct. Me personally, what I've seen and what I think went down is I said no, right? And then I went on to say that your example is bad because at the end of the day, you are liable and just because you don't agree with me comparing the crime with the whole therapist thing that you do.
it's not about me not agreeing in my
No,
opinion. It's about that it doesn't map on. Just to be clear, though, it's that.
No, I see it. Okay, but
No.
logically, we could. Okay, no.
Okay.
See, here's your problem. I see your logic clearly works differently than mine, and
No,
obviously,
no.
I believe that it's wrong. Obviously,
That's-
that I believe that it's not logic. But I guess this is me being bad faith, right? But this is how I see it, at least, right?
This isn't
I
you being
believe
bad faith. This isn't you being bad faith. I don't think you're being bad faith.
You assume bad faith and then started saying.
No.
Okay,
All
I
that
get it.
happened, we
I
already
get it.
agreed. All that happened was you said yes to something and you didn't remember that you did. And so then when you walked it back and pivoted, I thought you're either being a coward or you're lying. But you didn't remember that you had agreed to my original hypothesis. And therefore, you're like, I'm not being a coward or lying. I just am rejecting your example, which is just a miscommunication. I don't think you're bad faith.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Basically,
don't
you
think we're gonna
walk back
get
the whole
anywhere
line.
there. I
You
don't
walk it
think
back, and you're like, it's down to miscommunication. No, we
Karantos?
got somewhere. It's
Karantos?
miscommunication then.
A couple more people have questions for you, Karantos, if you don't mind.
Okay, that's
Right?
all
A
right.
couple
Okay,
more
that's all right,
people.
that's all
I know Wubby D does, and I know Stabby wants to talk to you for a brief moment, and we're gonna be brief with Stabby, and then we're gonna kick you both off and get to the questions, right? So
All right.
Wubby D, what's your question here?
I was just wondering if I was also a snow bunny demon.
Oh, we're not gonna answer that. No.
No,
Okay.
no, she wasn't.
Oh,
Wait,
okay.
am I still a snow bunny demon or am I?
Yeah, has
exonerated?
Erudite beat the allegations?
Oh, I got switched.
Well, my entire thing wasn't just based upon you calling me dumb, because that would just be petty.
So
Was
she
my-
is. Yes or no? Let's be quick about this because we got to get through it. I want to pick up the pace here. Yes or no?
Am I exonerated?
Is she still what you called her?
She
Yeah.
You
beat the
stand by
allegations.
it. You say yes. Okay. Fair enough.
OJ did it.
You have not
OJ
beat the
did it.
allegations, Erudite. You have still achieved that title. I guess
It's good.
you have to
Then
bear it.
I
now.
will hold to that he is a coward then. If that's going to
Noted.
actually be your answer afterwards,
Okay.
then you're just a coward.
I know-
And you're not.
Hilariously,
Hey,
hilariously,
if you're not ready-
that is literally emotional right there.
No.
That doesn't appeal to logic, it appeals to emotion, because she was willing
Absolutely.
to say it was
It's-
miscommunication, but now that I still hold my ground
You're
on her
right.
being
It's my
an
truth.
SBD,
It's my truth. It is my truth
Okay.
that you are a coward. It's
You
fine.
go off, Queen. You go off, Queen.
I know
No.
Stabby wanted a couple questions with you, Karantos. So I'm good. Stabby, if you could be concise and
I'll be
have your
very
questions.
fast.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
wait. I'm noticing a certain similarity between everybody in the call other than me and you. I'm not gonna say it, but I'm just noticing it.
It's
I feel like
vagina.
I'm being.
and it's
You can
awesome.
leave.
Thank you.
I think
Now-
everyone wants to talk to Q, so I'll head out.
Well,
There's a question for you, I think,
okay,
as
fair
well.
enough. There's a couple people wanted, but that's fine.
'Cause I
Aaron.
wanted-
If you have to go, you have to
I know
go.
that you're busy. I wanted to ask you something about something in the chat, but okay. Kurantos, I did want to ask you, do you think in any way, shape, or form your behaviors and your bombacity might actually be leading people to say certain things about you rather than just trying to make it some identity problem? You like did this like kind of tantrum thing and got in the bed. You would yell even when you were like, oh, sorry, I had to mute, but you're yelling over it. Like you're extremely emotional, kind of hysterical, and really bombastic. Do you think that people notice that? And does it bother you when they do?
So I'll be nice. And I'm going to
You don't have
assume
to
that
be
you're
with
being. No. I think I really do have to be with you because you basically claim that I'm an emotional, loud guy, right? Probably eat fried chicken and drink Kool-Aid before I go to bed. When I went to bed, by the way, I just was muted out of nowhere, right? I didn't know how Wick holds his panels. I called her Eurodite. I called Eurodite an SBD, and suddenly I was muted. So I was like, oh, wow, interesting. I just went to bed and I started doing da'wah. I started preaching Islam to my fellow brothers and sisters in the chat, So then I came back on and I was unmuted. And by the way, the entire time I wasn't being loud. I just have a glorious mic. It was handed down to me by a gentleman named Haas. Apparently, he used to be pretty loud. Okay, so like my mic is just loud. And I'm loud, but I'm not yelling. Right. So your characterization of me is something that I disagree with. That's why I find it hard for me to engage when you already believe that I'm an emotional, loud guy who throws a tantrum once he fucking faces repercussions. It's very hard for me.
Yeah,
But
One more question. One more question.
Okay.
no, I'll answer her. To be fair to you, yes, me, what I do, I know that I rub people the wrong way. When every place that I've been to, all of my fans, every single one of them, I swear to God, right? They said that they despised me in the beginning. That's it. It's fine.
You're
That- that's
you're on this emotional tirade of rambling, and it's very silly. But what I'm asking you is if you can perhaps in the future think that how people are seeing you might be because of your behaviors and not just something surfacey that you can just grab. Because for you to just fly off of the handle like that, like somebody calling you a coward should not upset you that badly. People can call you a shithead, and you should not be all like, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world."
Okay, is that a question or is that just advice?
No,
Stabby?
like calm down.
It's a loaded
But
disc,
Wick,
right?
Wick,
I'm rambling.
his rambling,
By the way, I recommend. By the way, what's your name?
his rambling. I'm Stabby.
Stabby. I recommend you go to an ENT doctor and get your ears cleared up. I'm clear that they're filled with wax because I wasn't rambling. I was pretty clear when I said I know that I rub people.
No,
the
you
wrong way.
preemptively explained something.
I hope to God that you could hear me right now. That when you speak, your ears don't plug up, right? So listen to me. I know that I rub people the wrong way, and that is something that I'm willing to accept. I don't really mind.
You're a childish brat, is what's actually happening here.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you have a question there, or?
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we've done this.
Can you in the future think that maybe the way you're coming off to people, if a lot of people are saying it, maybe it's something about your behaviors? Can you maybe review those?
Wait, who?
You.
Ask. I don't give a fuck what you say. Like, if you want to talk shit, get
No.
the fuck out of
The
my
answer
face.
is
I'm
no.
sorry.
Okay.
Wait,
Well,
I'm sorry.
this has been
I'm
super
sorry.
productive
I'm sorry.
from
I'll
both
see
of
you
you.
guys
Super
later.
productive from both of
Stabby,
you. Okay,
Stabby,
Karantos.
Bye,
I don't care
everyone.
what you say.
Okay, Karantos, we're
take care.
gonna say bye to you and Stabby. Thanks for being here, and I'll invite you again. I hope you had fun. But for now,
Listen.
go away. Okay, you too. Okay. Wow. Take a breath, okay?
I know.
Palate cleanser.
He's fun.
He was great.
Oh,
I would
I'm
love
good.
to have
It's
him
fine.
on more often. Okay, we got some questions for you, Erudite, and for you, WBD, and we got some people to bring in. You're live. Hardwood and Sock. What's up, brother? What's your question?
No, I don't have any questions. I was actually just chilling in the stream waiting room, talking to people.
Yeah, we don't care about you then. Okay, let's see.
You're savage tonight, Wick. Jesus.
I'm not playing it like I'm.
You are quick with that button.
It is. It is what it is. Okay. I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant to bring them all in. I know it'd be content.
Honestly, because the thing is, if you pull one person in, what if they're in the middle of it? And it sounds like I just think you should honestly just add them all.
Okay, chat. I'll let you decide.
Yeah,
Chat. You guys are watching this. You're here. What do you want to happen? Can we get a 1 in chat if you guys want me to just pull everyone in? And can we get a 2 in chat if you'd rather me not pull? We just stick with the 1 at a time thing. What do you think, gang?
Look, I'll be here to. I like Krontos. I'm not gonna lie.
I
I mean,
like him
maybe I'm
too.
just saying that because he didn't call me a snow bunny demon. I was actually kind of got my feelings hurt by that. A little jealous that Erudite got those accusations, but
Bro, you
nonetheless,
didn't earn it. You gotta earn it though.
I didn't earn it.
You
No,
gotta earn
I
it.
know.
Okay, so chat's saying, pretty definitively that they want
1113.
They want
one.
the ones. The ones have it. So I'm just gonna pull in
Just pull them all
everyone. Yeah, we're making you content, gang. It's happening. Everyone's coming in.
Oh,
Every
what's going
single
on?
person. It's gonna
What's
be
going on?
content.
We heard the stream waiting room was going nuts, so we decided to pull you all in.
We're making you content.
Uh-oh.
We're exploiting you.
Mega
Oh, boy.
panel.
Oh, okay.
Chaos
Okay.
Go.
But I was saying,
What was
okay,
going on?
so what I was saying
What's
to
happening?
Corantus is if you want to match my energy, you're going to have to calm down and stop screaming.
Yes, I'll match your energy. Yes. That's why I said you're a racist. I'm matching your energy.
Yeah, add Erudite
Yes,
as well.
because apparently, I'm a black man who's a bit crazy, who can't control his emotions, right? Who doesn't know how to speak to women, right? Because if I'm all of these things, fair.
No,
and you're
yelling.
a racist.
You're
You're a
just
racist
yelling
white
now.
woman. You're a demon.
You don't get to pull that in. See,
Let's do this.
listen, let me show you something here, Corantos. You just called me a demon, and I am very calmly going to continue speaking to you.
But were you
Without
offended?
keeping on-
I'll apologize to you if I hurt your delicate sensitivities. I'll apologize.
because
I'm
I'm
man
not
enough to
offended.
apologize.
I'm not offended, though. You don't have to if you don't want to. If you want to, I guess I can accept
Then why
it
do
for
you have to
something
state your
I don't have
calmness?
a
Why
problem.
did you have to state your calmness then if you're not offended? Why did you
Can
have
I
to
just
state
say
that you're calm?
I
think
emotional.
Hold on.
She's
I
trying to
think-
draw a distinction.
Oh God. Somebody, your mic is so loud. Sorry. I think Q being loud is fine. Like, I would agree to some extent that there is this like weird expectation that this is the biggest thing I hate about debate land is that people think that unironically the person who's just most calm wins. When it's like, no, that's just white person shit. We just like when everyone is like fucking emotionally flattened. It's totally fine that Q is getting mad. The issue is more so, I would say, with the constant race card pulling and then attacking other people's races. That's probably the bigger issue. But I think that there's like a valid critique in that, like, there's kind of this like whitewashing of like debate land where it's like you just can never get upsetty spaghetti, no one's allowed to yell, when it's like that's the best part of debate half the time. Like I would prefer that.
There's a weird
I appreciate
passive
your defense
aggressive
of me,
white
but you
hate
said that
coming from Not So Erudite right now. I just want to point
Yeah,
that out.
Here's what I want.
Thank you for pointing that
Here's
out.
what
Because I
I
was
want
about
to
to
put
say, I
out, though.
appreciate the defense, but when you say, like calmness, right? This is whitewashing. When somebody's loud, right? This is nice. This is so hip. I appreciate the defense, but at the same time, it did come off kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Why did it come off crazy?
The loudest
Because you're like this
motherfucker on
whitewashing of the
Okay?
debate land where people are calm and they talk in this monotone, slow voice. Like, this is whitewashing. I like when people are loud and crazy.
See, the point is you need to yell at people or they're never going to understand what you're trying to
Okay,
say.
so I have a question.
Yeah, that's literally the
So-
point. Like,
so
you
hold on.
actually need to do
Hold
that
on.
to go ahead and
I
take
have a
control of
question here.
conversations and talk over people.
I
And
have-
if you
I-
don't do that, then you are failing at presenting your point to begin with.
Look at all these white people yelling at you.
So here's my problem.
We're all
Hold on.
white and we're all part of the same team, okay?
Here's
That's
my
not the
problem,
white team,
though.
it's the loud team, to be clear.
Here's my problem.
I'm not
Wait a
white.
second.
Here's my
Wait a
problem.
second. Guys, hold on. Here's my problem with it. My problem with that is that when women yell or when women scream or like talk back in an aggressive manner, we are called overly emotional. So much so that the biggest joke in America is that women were too emotional to vote and that we fucked up and have to go back. And that's the biggest joke for repeal the 19th, etc. So if we're going to be incredibly emotional because we're yelling, but the men are all yelling and screaming, they own all mass shootings, they own all acts of terror, they own all acts of public and loud mass violence, but they're not emotional, we're going to
You
have a
literally
problem
came
with
into the
that.
call to call Q emotional. You can actually
Then
finish
that's
the
what
point a
she
little
did,
bit quicker.
the projection
You
on
literally
her.
came in to call Q emotional,
Yes,
right?
I
So
did.
yeah, men
Q is
are getting
being
called emotional
Dude, no,
too,
I'll be a
right?
man.
And that's
You're a
good.
dyke. You're a
And
dyke. You're a
everybody
dyke.
could get
I
called that. It's
apologize.
funny.
I apologize. You are not an SBD. Whoever this Stabby is the fucking.
She stole your crown.
Parent archetype
Erudite, are
of
you
an
gonna take
SBD.
that?
Lord have
Stabby has
mercy.
stolen
No, no,
your
no, no, no.
crown.
No,
He's
I'm
stolen
not.
your
I'm not the type
Lord
of
have
woman
mercy.
that
No,
will
Lord have
take
mercy.
head pats at the cost of another woman. I do not like
Oh,
that.
no, that is big.
Here's
She's
the
not a
issue.
pick me. She's not a
I
pick me. That's what
agree.
she's
I
saying.
agree that there's an issue with like this is something like to be fair, Stabby. I appreciate that you came in. So there's a legitimate criticism that Stabby has, which is like that I come across all the time, especially in like men-dominated spheres, especially like the manosphere. Is it basically doesn't matter how I talk. I will be condescending and I will be basically being like a bitch and I have attitude. No matter what, no matter if I yell at them, no matter if I'm calm the whole time, it doesn't matter. That will and that I'm overly emotional. All three things will be levied at me every single time I have a conversation. Anyone who watches me regularly can confirm that it's insane.
By the way, she called me a mass shooter. She called me a mass shooter because
Yeah,
I'm
at the same time.
I just want to point out the fact that
I
she
agree.
thinks
I agree.
Karantos, let her finish the point. This is a good one.
I agree. The issue
Okay,
is that
she's on
I
your
do
side.
think Stabby came in too hot as well. I think that there was an element where like there was a lot of passive aggression, especially in the tone, where there was like kind of the mocking. Now the issue is that like if a man did it, would we have the same issues or make the same criticisms? No, but I think there's an element where like I can understand why Q went off so hard to some degree. But at the same time, I do think there's a disparity in how like we treat women in the space when they get emotional versus men in the
be the
space.
fall guy for it then. She didn't ask how I treat women. I never said you're
Here's
like
my
you're being
point.
emotional for being a woman. I never said that. As far as I would
No.
I said I'm all the men in her life that look at her as she said it by doing the waiting room, a cum dump, which was very flattering to herself. Personally, I'm good.
Well, I would prefer if you would rein in your chat
When
for saying that
somebody
I'm not a
says-
human. Personally, that was actually more
people do.
offensive to me than that. But yeah,
yes, it was meant to be. Absolutely. I don't respect
I am
Stabby.
saying no. Karantos, I am saying that I am more capable of being called a whore, a coward, a cum dumpster, any of the above, and I can respond as an adult instead of that wild tantrum you just had.
Congratulations.
Which is insane. Absolutely insane. Like you're kind of like
congratulations.
off.
Why should I care that I don't respond in a way befitting you? You SBD. Okay, I won't say it, but I don't care what you view me as. I don't care if you don't think my reaction is nice enough for your delicate sensibilities. I'm sorry
you sound
that
like
I
you do
offended
care.
you by being who I am. I'm sorry. Like, you want me to apologize? Do you want me to get on my knees?
So you are insisting that we see you as the sane interlocutor while acting the way you are. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay, boys, someone pull out dictionary. What the fuck is interlocutor? That number one. I hate when
Conversational
you
partner.
use big words.
Yeah, it's like
By the way, I don't expect anybody to come in here and immediately like just start respecting me. Of course I give that to people, but I know my appearance itself lends people to think that I'm a troll.
It's not your appearance, it's your attitude.
Also, but the mic doesn't help.
It can
The
be
mic
both.
doesn't help
No, it
either.
actually can
The
be
mic
both.
is
And I
really
think
loud.
that ignoring his appearance is actually bad.
Hi,
for the statement.
Nick. Look at that cutie guy. Sorry. Hey, for everyone who doesn't know, Nick's my husband. That's why I'm.
Nick is my husband.
Right? So, but here's the thing, though.
I'm all your husband. I'm all your girl. Okay.
Torontos, can you clarify really quick? This shtick predates the Kanye thing because
Yes,
it's
I've been doing it for
really
11
Yes,
months.
very
I've
much
been
so.
doing it for
Months
11
upon
months.
months.
presentation right now and like the image it invokes.
Listen, year old
Like
2024,
3 years
okay?
he's been
Image
doing
that
this.
invokes.
That's what I heard.
Year old 2024, but I've been wearing the mask for like 11 months. Okay?
Yeah,
Year
no,
old,
it's
put Nick as
really
the vice president. Okay, you know it.
optically inconvenient for you. I was just clarifying because I had no idea
True.
until somebody
Okay.
told me.
Ye stole from Q. Okay, it's not the other. Stolen valor. Stolen valor.
So we're in Dyson territory, so I just wanted to clarify. I don't think he's trying to like send a message with Kanye cosplay or anything. This is just a right winger from the real world who doesn't engage with our terminology and this online debate space very often. So
What the
granting
fuck?
him the maximum
Right?
amount of
Is he right?
irritability
Can
is
we make that
probably-
assumption?
Wait, guys,
Yeah, he's
guys,
not- I
guys,
wouldn't call him
you
right
assume everything about me,
I
and I'm
wouldn't-
here.
I know,
You
yeah.
guys could
Wait,
ask
wait.
me questions. You know that, right? Like, guys.
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
on,
no, I
guys, okay?
support you. That's what I asked Krontos. I was like, is he right? We can't make that assumption. Can you tell us about where ideologically how you might describe yourself, Krontos?
Listen, I'm a religious Andy, and I know when you guys hear religious Andy, you immediately assume he's a righty, right? I personally, I would say I'm neither right or left. You know, I keep it down the middle. But everybody that I speak to,
That's
like
cap,
Wizzy,
G.
Nah,
calls
you're
me
not
a
centrist.
righty.
You're not a
Alex,
centrist.
who do you vote
Nah.
Listen,
for?
I'm a
Who do you
centrist,
vote
okay?
for?
Listen.
Don't fuck
You're not a
around.
centrist. This is the weirdest cap.
Listen.
I don't know why conservatives
No, I swear
are
to God, I swear
stealing
to God.
valor.
I don't care if you call me a righty, but I don't see
fine.
myself as a righty.
I don't. Just to be clear, most of us here aren't the cringe lords who would say because you're conservative, you're ontologically evil. There's probably a
Erudite,
few.
real
I'm
quick,
not sure.
Erudite, which ones are the cringe lords, right? Like, so
I'm not
which ones
sure.
aren't, which ones are?
Oh my
Okay,
God!
secret
No, you
cringe
allow
lords.
him to have that position of I'm
Anyone-
not sure, but when I'm a centrist,
Anyone who would say that because if he's conservative, he's just ontologically evil is a cringe lord. I don't know who in this
True.
panel would say that. Maybe
Gabby,
none.
how do you
That
feel
would be
about being
based.
called a
Yeah,
cringe lord?
literally
Yo,
done
okay, hold on, hold on.
one-on-one debates on
Did
this
somebody
channel to
just
the
ask me
opposite
how I
effect.
feel? Did somebody just ask me how I feel about being gay?
How do you-
What?
Yeah,
why?
yes, actually, how does it feel?
Askers.
Yes, I'll love to.
I'm fine with it. I didn't know people here didn't know I was kind of. I play both
I don't even
teams.
care.
Okay.
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
know.
matter.
No,
It's
no, no,
fine.
no,
Why
no.
did somebody ask me that?
Yeah, you're all pixels.
No,
Like, I
Stabby,
don't think you should be
Stabby.
attracted to
Nobody
pixels. Like, that's
nobody asked that, but since she brought it up, validate her feelings.
I don't
Let her
care about
talk it.
anybody's sexual
Alright, Q,
relations.
I need to
No,
ask
I
you a
just
question,
heard.
man.
Who the
That's
fuck
why I
cares?
asked. I just heard somebody say, "How do you
Yeah.
feel about being gay or something?"
You are
And
experiencing
I heard
psychosis.
cringe lord,
Yeah,
I don't
she
think
heard,
I
she heard
get it.
cringe
What?
lord as gay. She heard cringe lord as gay. Nice one.
If you're so opposed to labels, Q, then why did you quickly label me a demon snow bunny when
I
you've
didn't
now
even
walked
label
it
you.
back?
I didn't
You
even
labeled it
label
to me
you.
as soon as
No,
I
hold on.
offended you.
No, it wasn't as soon as, dude. you're
Demon
ignoring
Snow Bunny.
the past things that I told you about, the condescension, the quarterbacking, the way that you
I've
carry
never been
yourself, like your
condescending.
opinions.
How have I
No,
been
no.
condescending to you
See,
once?
but see that first of all, every time that I spoke, you cut me off. Even in my closing statement, you cut me off. It was you who cut me off. Not Smug tried to do it, but Smug agreed with everything that I said. He was just trying to be cute. It was cute. I
Smug does not agree with
Yeah.
almost everything you said.
No, that's how he
Hey,
came
I
across.
just want
To
to
be fair,
interject real quick.
That's
Just
wrestling, right?
real quick. I'm
What?
interjecting. Right, one of my viewers has gone back to the initial exchange between Erudite and Krontos and clipped it and put
Oh,
that
Smug's
clip
coming back in.
and put that clip into the my general chat here. And what they say is that this clip shows that Krontos did not say yes to Erudite's question.
No, I demand that. I demand an apology right now.
Just to be clear, your example.
I'm
is good,
sorry
but
you got
yeah,
your feelings hurt.
You're
I
right.
demand
You
an
didn't
apology.
say
My
yes.
feelings are hurt. I'm in my fifis.
No,
Where's
that's
the
fine.
clip?
Hold
Where's
on.
the clip?
I've always defended you. Being
It's
your
in,
feelings.
The gaslighting Olympics.
chat.
You think this is the
Which chat?
1940s, dude? The gaslighting Olympics that was going on, and I just dodged everything. Dude.
Well, you
oh my
still
God.
haven't. Okay, let's do a
I
poll.
felt like Ali,
Let's do a
walking in the
poll.
jungle, what was
Okay.
the-
Okay. Hold on.
See, that's why. See, I said it. I said I did not just fall back. And
Well,
say,
actually, you
"Yeah,
conceded that you did.
I am such a
You
nice guy. I said
you
I,
still
know what
have
I
to
said?
prove
You know what I said? I
that
don't
you're
believe you, but I'll give it to you. I'm so nice. I'm so good faith. God.
Yeah, I was
Okay,
good
so
faith
like
with you too,
Karatos,
Q.
I'm gonna ask
Hold
you
on.
a question real
Hold
quick.
on, hold
right?
on. Let's
I
just
have
point out.
history. Please let me just do this because like I've done this with him 100 times. Okay, when it comes to proof, Karantos, what proof do you need to prove an argument? Do you believe proof is necessary?
Rizzy, you're always a fucking vocab, Andy. Define this word. Define
Which
that
one?
word. Define
Proof?
every word. Every time I bring up
Yeah.
a word, it suddenly becomes English.
Because I
class
need
all
to
over
understand
again.
what you're saying.
Wait,
Because
wait,
like, I don't. We all use English, but we all use a different English, right?
Hold on. Q, where the fuck did I agree with you? You agreed with me, bitch. What was this? You were chatting shit.
Now you're trying to.
You conceded, motherfucker! You conceded, motherfucker! Therapy good for some people! You think I didn't hear this shit? You think I didn't hear this shit? Q, take the mask off! Let's go! Let's go face to face! I'm dropping the VTuber! You're dropping the
Shut
mic!
up!
Let's fucking go!
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
You
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! No Pants
All right.
9, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Carry on. Go on.
No, you're fucking cuck, dude. I already fucking told you. If you really need it and you have nobody in your life, you
Listen,
probably
I
should get people in
know,
your
buddy,
life.
I know. Listen. I know. All we had to do was repeat the same take Erudite gave, but a dude gave it to you, so you agreed with it. It was that simple. That was it.
Oh my God,
That's all you needed. It's okay. It's all right. It's scary. I know. Talking to women is tough. I appreciate it, buddy. Look, I've been there. Hey, man, listen. I've been there. It's okay. I'm with you.
Now.
I'm with you.
What
Huh?
are you?
Sorry?
What are you?
What am
State your
I?
pronouns right now.
Listen, I'm just a little buggy boy. Just a little
I didn't
smug
even know
buggy
I was
boy.
talking
alright?
to a
That's it.
man until you stated it right now. I didn't know.
Based. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. I know. I appreciate
You're
that. That's
welcome,
great. That's good.
You're welcome. Yeah.
You shouldn't make assumptions. I don't know what's behind that mask.
But let me just say this. Yeah, you can find
Good
that right
idea.
now. Okay, $100 on OnlyFans. But check this out, Rizzy. Let me answer your question. Right. Erudite's her entire fucking belief about me being bad faith was hinged upon me switching my answer from a yes to a no.
No, it
Yes,
was
it
not.
No,
No,
it's not just
no,
that.
Let
There's a
let
lot of
okay,
it.
No.
Please
Did
handle-
you,
No,
you
hold
did
on,
you call?
hold
Wait,
on,
did
hold
you
on.
call?
No, I need to
Go
come
ahead,
in. Hold on.
please.
I just
Yeah,
need
go
to
ahead.
explain. When you said that you had said that you didn't realize that you had said yes, that was my good faith attempt at just letting bygones be bygones because
And
the
that was
argument
my
was
good
so
faith attempt
stupid.
when I said if I said that I was
Yes,
wrong. I
we're both
clearly
being good
stated.
faith. Yay, we're
Yes.
both being good faith. Chill. Okay.
I deserve my
You were
backbone.
right. If the clip, I haven't watched the clip yet, but if it is the case that you didn't say yes, I will just walk that back. That's fine. But the
And
yes
apologize. Apologize
and-
to him.
Yes,
sure,
the apology
but
is wrong.
sure, I apologize for.
No.
I apologize.
I'm gifted.
Hold on, shut up. I apologize for thinking that you said yes when you did
Oh,
not. My
God.
claim of bad faith, which I also already said you weren't bad faith, wasn't predicated on just that. It was predicated more distinctly on the shitty example that you gave as a counter hypothesis to what I gave you. I gave you the 911 operator, and then you gave me the example of hiring a hitman. That's why I was asking if you're bad faith or
So now-
stupid
no,
or a
I'm
coward
not bad-
because
no,
it was
I'm
so
not- no, you're
it was
trying to
so
cope right
devoid.
now. You're trying to cope right now. I'm not bad
I'm not
faith. You
coping.
just don't like my example. That's it.
Uh,
You
No.
could just say that.
If
That's
you're
fair.
coping,
No.
That's
Okay,
fair.
it's
the
because
lines are
it's
open.
because
The support
because
lines are
you're-
open, buddy.
It's,
Okay.
it's because your example was disanalogous. It didn't work. It wasn't a one-to-one representation of the thing. Whereas
Yes.
Erudite's representation of the thing was a one-to-one representation of the thing. It was entirely analogous, and you were dodging it. Which is why she said, if it's a stupid question, you should just answer it because it'll be easy to deal with. And the fact that you were dodging it implied to her that you were being bad faith or that you were too stupid to understand the analogy.
No, I understand what
Yes.
you're saying, and I no, listen. It's fine. She said it before too, and I've heard both of you guys. It's just that I'm not willing to concede that my example was shit. That it doesn't fit just because you guys are like this is a
It
crime,
was.
the
Okay,
other
hold
one
on,
is a
hold on,
business.
hold on, hold on.
It's
The
idea behind
mitochondria
it.
is the powerhouse of the cell. If you won't concede that,
Okay, seventh
you're
grade science.
just
Okay,
wrong.
seventh grade. Now you're stating
You're
it like it's
wrong.
Yeah.
It is.
Listen.
It is disanalogous.
It
This
is
is
not wrong.
basic. No, this is basic law. Here, I'll let your
I-
friend Rezi, who has big words, explain it to you instead if you would like, that your example was deeply disanalogous.
Okay,
And
just
that's
for kicking
why
Lizzie,
I
go on.
perceived it as a dodge, and you refused to answer my very analogous
By the way,
hypothetical.
love
That's why I
how
thought you
we're
were bad
dodging.
faith.
Now we're going from it was
I
bad
You
brought
said
faith
you were dodging,
because-
remember?
You-
What?
No, no.
What? What?
No,
That
I
was your
dodged
words,
the-
brother.
no,
That was your
I
words.
dodged the
No, I'm
false
kidding. I'm
allegations.
kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
dodged
I'm
the
kidding.
false allegations.
I don't
I'm
Check this
kidding.
out.
Can I ask Q a couple of questions, please? Just a couple.
Can I get an answer to mine
Unless
first?
you can't derail him off of this, we have to drive home why this was disanalogous.
Okay, it's
Literally
fine.
Yes.
for
I'll
do
Q's
afterwards.
sake.
I
Q,
know.
you need to get
So-
this. This is
So yeah.
for
We'll
Q's
fix
sake.
him. All right,
Q,
fine,
can
fine.
you answer
Sorry,
the way
continue, Rez.
I explained this? All right.
I by the way, I understand where you're coming from. What you're trying to
Yeah,
say, what you're trying to say is what Erudite is doing is in good faith. She's trying to help people find therapy. She's trying to help people
No.
find somebody to help.
Yes.
And what
Okay,
the guy,
yes.
what the fucking hitman thing is, the guy is doing is just it's a negative. So
Yes,
they're
there's
not
no
equal.
positive that can ever come from calling a
They're not
hitman.
equal.
But trying to get somebody help, there is a positive, right?
There's no positive that could come from calling a hitman. What if the hitman was going to kill a pedo?
Okay, well, that's that's called that's literally called the police apparatus, Krontos. That's calling the 911 operator once again.
No,
because
when
there
you
is an
said that
inherent
there is no
good.
that comes from calling a fucking hitman. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, but that's like
Right?
that's such a fringe statement.
I 100% see where you're coming from. I understand that how it could be seen as unequal. I'm 100%. Since Erudite said it at the beginning, yes, I see it. I'm just telling you that does not matter.
But the thing is, this isn't representative of the major conversation.
This is
It
such
does matter.
cap. This is such cap. Q, you could be so good in this space. Genuinely. I'm being good faith. I think you're super entertaining. You're funny. Like, you're interesting to talk to. You don't give a fuck what anyone says. You don't care about hurt feelings. You can be successful in this space. But when it comes to debate, there are some things that are fundamentally like, it's like math. Like, there is elements that are objectively observable. In the case of your analogy, it doesn't matter that you feel it was analogous. What you're literally trying to argue with us is 2 + 2 is 3. And we're telling you it's not 3, it's 4. And it doesn't matter how much you feel that it's 3, it's 4. And I want you to understand that, not just because
Now she's
I
doing the
don't even
feelings
care.
things onto me. Now it's my feelings.
Hold on.
No,
Wait, actually, no, hold on. I have this. Wait, I have this.
Hold on.
Wait. No, actually, I think if Q has, if you just feed him the alternative argument that, okay, so like, for example, he's saying that there's never anything good when it comes to, or there's a possible good that comes out of calling a hitman, but most of the time there's not a good there. And similarly, from his perspective, from his, incorrect worldview, it's going to be the same thing for therapy, right? You'll never have a good that comes from therapy because you're just going to end up brainwashed. You're just going to end up financially cucked or whatever he said earlier. It is analogous, but the analogy doesn't matter because they're both bad things that have almost no real positive utility to the world. That would be a better version of his argument.
I think you got close, but you did admit that some therapy was necessary.
So, just to be clear, I just checked the clip. You basically implied yes. You're specific.
Now it's an implication.
No, hold on.
Now it's an implication.
Let me read.
Oh my God, stop. I'm feeling too good right now.
The transcripts.
Let me explain. I asked you the questions, and you said your answer after I said, is the 911 operator a policeman? You said, but they're the ones who sent the police, though, right? Which implies that they are connected. You basically said yes.
Yeah.
So I was
now you basically said, okay. So when it comes to consent, when it comes to consent, when it comes to consent,
exhilarating.
You guys,
yes, like you are laying there, you are naked.
Play the clip, Wick. Play the clip.
Play the clip. She could have sworn up and down that I said
Brantos, do you ever, if you can just answer from a scale of never to very often, do you ever find it difficult finishing a task or project?
Yeah, I have it.
You do? Okay, alright. Do you find it difficult to organize yourself or tasks?
I did one of these autism tests as well. This is the ADHD
It's
one,
not an autism test. I'm just asking
it's
some
the
questions.
one. But I did the autism one because my chat kept calling me autistic, and I'm slightly maybe possibly autistic.
Do you find it difficult to remember appointments?
No.
Never, rarely, sometimes, often,
Hey,
very.
Rick, I have it ready on my screen, I think.
Okay,
No,
I
it's
remember.
not
Or did it
going
just,
through.
or did it not?
Hold on. I find it hard to remain focused in group settings.
Lord have mercy, in this group setting, that's a yes. In this group setting, that's a yes.
Okay, we're seeing it. Stop.
Really, erudite should be doing this. I've got a psychology degree, not a psychometrics.
No, it would be unethical. It would be unethical.
True. That's right. I don't.
All right, let's watch the clip. Everybody click on the clip.
Everyone shut up. Everyone shut up.
Silence. Okay, go ahead. Play the clip for us.
That's me.
I am hoping the sound works, so let's see. Hold on.
Yeah,
Can
no.
you
Hey,
is this
Erudite,
working?
he said no at 20 seconds.
Go ahead.
Offering therapy.
No,
She's
I am
offering
not
it as
offering
like a
therapy.
service.
I am
Like
connecting. So, is the 911 operator a policeman? Just because they've connected you to a
example.
policeman? No, it's a perfect example.
No.
Answer the question.
Yeah, of course it is. You're the one who came up with it. Duh,
Okay,
but
you
no,
can come
but
up with a
that's
better
bullshit.
one after, but if it's such a bad question, it'll be simple for you to answer, and then we can move on to
Yes, I
something else.
told you no is pretty dog shit. I want to
Okay.
give
He
you
said
dog
no,
shit
and it's
example.
dog shit.
Wait, shut up,
So
shut
you're
up.
just gonna cower.
Yo, Yeah, hold up.
He said that
after.
I said
If it's such a
I said no.
He said no.
Oh
it's
my
not
god!
bullshit.
He said the question is dog shit.
Yes,
He
we need
said
to
the
distinguish between
question.
him saying the question
No,
is
he didn't-
versus
no,
him
he-
saying
yeah,
yes or
That's
no
not what
to
he
the
said.
question.
No,
I said
you're
no.
misunderstanding.
No,
He
no,
said no
you
twice.
are
Oh my god!
misunderstanding.
I said no
He did say no twice. He
Q,
said no
No,
twice.
he fucking
No.
didn't.
No,
this is
he
not
didn't.
manly
You're
behavior.
actually dumb.
100% he
Womanly
said no
behavior.
twice.
What the fuck, bro?
I
dumb.
identify as a woman. Let's go. Big dog this right now. Let's go.
He literally
Good.
said no
Alright,
well, we
twice
made
in
some
that whole
progress on
Spaniard,
that.
conversation.
Spaniard,
That clip,
Spaniard.
he said no
Both
twice.
times, no Spaniard. Both times when he said
Stop.
no.
Hey, can you fix your mic? It's peaking the shit out of my ears, dude.
It's fine.
Like
Okay,
it's so high.
Spaniard.
It's so high.
Okay.
Gosh.
I actually
As
turned it
you
down to like
love my
60%.
Okay, you can cease speaking now. Okay, so
Alright, go
both
ahead.
times when he said no, he was saying no, that the analogy was not good. He was
No,
not saying
that's wrong.
No, no, that was it.
no,
Wait.
just
That was at the beginning. Okay, yeah, then wait. Wait, tranquilo, cálmate. Relax.
We all just
In the middle of the
watched
clip,
it.
in the middle of the clip, he
Being gaslit!
didn't.
I'm being gaslit! You're all stupid! You're
No,
stupid!
no,
You're stupid!
Wait, yeah. Oh
In
no,
the middle-
oh no.
Can we?
Oh,
In the
no.
middle of the
Oh,
clip,
no.
he didn't like the
She's having a
analogy.
psychotic break.
But at
Fuck.
20 seconds, he said no. It's
No,
bullshit.
at 20 seconds,
Oh my god!
at 20 seconds, he was saying no. Your analogy is bad. Both times.
No,
he
that was
saying,
beforehand.
No,
in
you
the
are
movie.
lying.
You are lying.
You are
I
lying.
watched it. I apparently listened to
He
this.
said the question is bad.
He said no, the question is bad.
He said no, the question
Alright,
is
this is a
bad. He
good
didn't like the
very-
question.
Hey, come on, that was in the middle of
He
the
blatantly
clip.
said, no, the question is dog shit. That's he literally said that one word right after the fucking number. Is it?
That's pretty morons.
That's
You're
not
both
the same!
rewriting history.
Nick, Erudite, please drop the ego.
Is it at all?
No.
You
Okay.
Okay.
This is why.
The question or know about whether or not the question is good. Can we just watch it a second time?
Let's watch it a second time. I think we have to.
To the tape, gang, to the tape.
That's the only answer. That's the only
Rewind
answer.
to the tape.
The
All
answer
of you,
is
all of you.
some
Do you have a
people
mute all
can't
button
listen.
here? Do I have a
They
mute
just
all
want to
Honestly.
hear.
Exactly, you can't listen.
I don't
Alright,
know.
everybody be quiet, everybody be quiet.
You're so dumb. You're so dumb, Spaniard.
Shut up!
You're,
What stream?
you're
Shut up!
dumb. What
What
do you
stream?
mean? You're over there slapping yourself in the forehead and jumping up and down like a little kid.
I can't mute everyone without muting the
Everyone shut
stream.
the
Even
fuck
though
up.
you're a whole grown-ass woman.
Stop.
Jumping around like a kid.
Shut the fuck up. It's,
Yeah.
it's 30. Is this panel so ADD that we can't go 30 seconds or just
Based.
playing the clip? Everyone,
Yeah.
be
Can I
nice.
just point
Listen, I'm
out?
diagnosed.
I'm down. I'm down. But can I just point out, Q has been jumping around the whole time, and not a single woman has questioned
He's
about
sitting
whether
in
they're
his
an adult
chair,
human.
bouncing.
Fucking
You
dancing!
jumped out of your chair
Okay,
in the
alright,
back
alright.
of your
Sorry, he
room.
has ADHD. Okay?
Spaniard's
Wait,
not
Spaniard's
fair.
not- hold on,
It's not my
hold
fault
on.
you're a
Hold
kid.
on.
Play it, play it,
Relax.
play it, play it.
Relax.
Shut up! Shut up!
Relax.
Shut up!
Relax.
Shut up! Shut up! Play the clip.
I have a request. Can you mute everyone and play the fucking clip so that Q can't have another whatever tantrum that is?
Yeah.
Please.
I'm
Can
doing
we
it right now.
stop? Okay.
Everyone, don't put it all on cue. Everyone's been doing this, but yeah, mute everyone. Just don't mute me because I don't know if the sound's gonna come through. So, and I've been well behaved, so let me know when. We'll just get going. Ready
Yeah,
and
go
go.
ahead.
Offering therapy.
No,
She's
I am
offering
not
it as
offering
like a
therapy.
service.
I am
Like
connecting. So, is the 911 operator a policeman? Just because they've connected
shit
you to a
example.
policeman?
Shit
No, it's
example.
it's a perfect example.
Nah.
Answer the question.
Yeah, of course it is. You're the one who came up with it. Duh,
Okay,
but
you
no,
can come
but
up with a
that's
better one
bullshit.
after, but why don't, if it's such a bad question, it'll be simple for you to answer, and then we can
Yes,
move on to
yes, I
something else.
told you no is pretty dog shit. I want to
Okay.
give you dog shit examples. Do
So you're
better
just
is what
gonna
I'm trying to
cower
say.
it away? You're gonna
Offering therapy.
no,
She's
I'm
offering
not
it as
offering.
like-
Should I play it back? That's a clip.
That's a clip. So I'm going to give my thoughts here. When he said yes, yes, he was responding, in my view, to Erudite saying that it should be easy for you to answer this question. That's what he was saying yes, yes to. And then the no, no part was to answer the question. That's how I read it. But I'm going to unmute everyone, and you can tell me why I'm
Oh
wrong. You can
shit!
tell me
They're
why I'm
freaking
wrong.
out already.
Yeah, I can see it. It's going to be great.
Everybody has to unmute. You have to unmute
I
people
mute
too.
everyone. I
No
don't- I don't
way!
have a button
There's
to
no
call.
way!
What-
This is
when-
insane! This is
when he
actually
said yes,
insane!
So I'm so sorry, Wick. You're wrong on both accounts. When he was
Okay,
saying yes,
so
when he was
both
saying when he was saying
Mute everyone who's not talking. Holy shit!
When he said yes, it wasn't to it's a simple question. He was saying yes, you would say it's a good example. That's what
Nick,
he was
ask
saying.
me
Yes
right now.
to.
Nick, I'm here. I'm not dead. I'm here. I'm here. Ask me right now.
Well, we watched the clip.
Oh, okay, that's a good one. Okay, that's a
So, but this is
I
what you're
agree
saying.
with you, Wick, 100%.
You literally said it. Then you're stupid. Okay, so
Okay, how
what
many
he said,
people are in here?
what he said.
4,
Oh, 1 second, Q. 1 second, really quick, Q. I'm gonna back and forth, me and you, brother, really quick. So you said, Erudite said, yes, it is a good example, and then you said, yes, of course you would say that. It's your example. So you weren't saying yes to what Wick said. You were saying yes, you would. Of course you would say that. Yes, of course you would say that. It was your example. So you weren't saying yes to her question. You weren't.
I wasn't saying yes to her question. I didn't engage with her question. I said all you're doing right now is approving of your own analogy.
Yes, exactly. That's correct. And so that Kyla took that, Erudite took that as you saying yes, because she wasn't listening well enough. She took that to say yes to her answer. So bad on her. She apologizes. Disavow my word.
So you guys concede. Boom.
No,
Thank you
listen,
very
no,
much.
I did not concede.
Okay,
I
you
did not
conceded.
concede. Listen, me and you back and forth. Just a couple more seconds. Stay on task. Okay?
Go on.
Both times when
Do
you
ADHD,
said
I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Both times when you said no, you were saying, no, I'm refusing to answer the question. No, this is not a good analogy. Neither time did you say
No.
that the night.
No, I
You're
said
lying.
no.
You're
No,
lying.
I said no. Oh, you don't want to believe me. Oh, okay.
You're lying.
You don't wanna
You're
believe
lying.
me. Wait,
You're
wait,
lying.
I thought this was a
You're
back and
lying.
forth.
We all watched it.
I swear I'm talking right now.
all
We
watched
all
it.
watched
You're
it.
Speed up in
just
this
lying.
moment.
You and Spaniard are
wait.
fucking lying. Or
Okay.
you're
And
stupid.
it's not only
You
me
have
and
no
Spaniard.
verbal
It's me,
comprehension.
Spaniard, Wick, Riz, Portland, Sock, Weaponized this guy. Everybody's a liar.
Yeah. No. Hold on.
misunderstood.
Every single
I'm just
person
laughing.
who watches that and misunderstood Spaniard has a.
I'm gonna just really interrupting a lot.
Anyone who watched that and thought that your answer of no was to my question is either lying, wasn't actually listening closely, or is actually stupid. Those are the only three
I've been
options.
dealing with this same. I've been dealing with this same thing during the
No,
conversation.
So if you want to
Actually,
self-report, if
Just
you
an
want to
idiot
Serrano.
can't listen to shit
Spaniard,
that he is
Spaniard,
actually
you're
saying.
absent.
You're actually
Spaniard,
not
you're
listening
still-
to what he was saying.
No, I was
Dude,
listening. Just
No, you
want
weren't.
me to
You're
write this
just
down?
going off.
She doesn't
You're
want
going
to
off on your
listen.
emotional response.
I want to hear
Yeah,
Spaniard say
because I'm a woman
it.
being
You
emotional.
are going off on you're completely
It's fine.
emotional.
It's fine. It's fine. I've defended Q's emotions the entire fucking night. Can we kick him?
Hey,
Actually,
Stabby,
Look how emotional she's getting. Because she wasn't even listening to what he was saying.
Yes, you cannot accuse anyone of screaming. You've been screaming all night. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
You have to put him at 70%. Put him at 70% volume. It's perfect.
You gotta love emotion. You gotta love emotion.
We do love
over
emotion,
rationalism.
Spaniard. We literally do. We
No,
do.
everyone,
Hold
I am begging everyone to mute Spaniard because he's a motivated
That's true.
dumb fuck.
You can
He's
just-
actually
fine, it's fine.
derailing
I don't mind.
constantly.
I'm
If
doing myself,
anything,
okay?
I will donate $50
All right,
to have
just
Spaniard
mute.
just kick so that
I'll just
conversation
mute you.
goes
Guys.
$50
forward.
and I will get rid of Spaniard. $50 if I go fund
I got it right now.
I'll do it.
This is a good kick price.
Kick him.
Quick.
Hey, let me ask Spaniard a question.
Wait, don't you do this, Wick.
And I guarantee you,
Please.
the conversation will improve.
Spaniard,
Go ahead.
Spaniard.
Hey,
Capitalism,
$50. I put
Let's
the
go!
GoFundMe in my. Hey, stop, because I'm making money right now, gang, and you're gonna let me make money. You're not gonna interrupt that. I put in a link for Erudite, $50 to my GoFundMe, and I will definitely kick this motherfucker. I love
Spaniard.
you.
You have my okay. You have my okay, Erudite. Just do it. Just do it.
I need the link sent to me. Rex.
Well, it has to be $50 to buy back, though, then, too.
The Discord until Monday. Okay.
Question.
$5.
I'm not even, just to be clear, I'm not kicking Spaniard because he disagrees with me, but he is so
100%
dumb.
she is.
Yeah,
And
she's actually
because-
trying to.
no,
She's trying to kick me
if that was the case,
because I
I would
disagree
ask
with
to
her.
kick.
That's why.
No,
Absolutely.
listen. If I was the case, I would ask to kick Alex, and I would ask to kick Wick himself because they disagreed with me as well.
Yeah,
I'm
and I
kicking
agree with
Spaniard.
Wick. 100%. I agree with Wick.
He's the only
I agree. I
He's the
agree with
only
Wick's statement.
one.
100%.
He's the only one who's constantly derailing, making
we
sexist comments about my emotions and nobody else's.
But
and
you are
mocking
getting
me for just
emotional
standing
about
up
the
for
fact
myself.
that.
Spaniard, just real quick, Spaniard, just real quick. Spaniard, stop. Final word. Spaniard,
Okay,
final
one
word.
at a time.
Final word.
Wait, did he get
Spaniard,
kicked?
About
final
what?
word. It doesn't matter because you got paid $50 to get kicked. Okay, cool. We did it.
$50 to bring back though.
What
Yo,
did you
Q,
mean
why,
by that?
Why is the 911 and a hitman the same, dude?
Nope, they're not the same. No. Wait, what are you talking about?
Like, are they the same in that analogy?
When I brought up her fucking 911, it's dog shit. That's what I told her. It's dog
Yeah.
shit.
Why?
So why is hitman good then?
Because it's actually what's happening. Think about it. She's telling this person, go to this therapist, or here are the therapists that I found for you. Dude!
Okay, but do you think
that doesn't make any fucking sense. Dude, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Hold on. I can translate. 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 Okay. No, I understand him. Q is my brother. Q is my brother. Q is my brother. We understand each other. We agree on everything. Okay. He's saying. It's like a brainwashing bullet. All right, like the hitman. Right, you're signing someone up to a therapist who's gonna brainwash them, right? It's like being killed. That's what he's analogizing. It doesn't make any sense.
And by the way,
that's the dumbest analogy ever. I'm sorry.
I know. Said that there's this whole thing with your potholes and bumps in your brain, and then you go and you can fucking, fix it. I was like, oh, so it's like brainwashing. And all you said yes, and now it suddenly doesn't make sense.
Well, no, we said kind of. We said hold on. We said kind of.
But what were you talking about?
Relax.
Oh, guys, when your own logic betrays you, you guys get mad.
Calm. Soothing.
The only person that's mad right now is this fucking dude Q. Q is fucking pissed.
But being mad's fine. Emotion is
He's the only. It's fine.
We were getting somewhere. Oh, you spooked him.
It's housing the fuck out right now.
You know,
I was making progress.
I think wicking out.
You,
what a
Toronto. I just want your. Toronto's,
sorry.
I just want your answer.
Just
give me your answer.
He's valid. He's valid. He's a little loud, but he's valid. Guys.
True.
No.
Okay, I think, hold on. One second, really quick. I think we have to pay some reparations really quick before we
Yeah,
go into
100%. But switch the TV/Toronto. Pay the reparations.
Okay.
Pay
The reparations are coming right now. Okay, I'm gonna put the whiteys on blast now, really quick. Okay. Okay. So. My Q, my brother. I am a quarter Nigerian, so I understand. I understand all of this. Uhuru. Okay, so there is this one thing. There's this one thing that happens all the time, and it happens to Erudite, and it happens to Q, and it happens to a lot of Black content creators, and as Stabby correctly pointed out, it happens to a lot of female content creators too. Where basically anyone in the space, whenever they disagree with them, whenever they're getting BTFO'd, whenever they're getting bothered by the way a conversation is going, this critique comes up. Oh, you're being too loud. Oh, you're being too emotional. Oh, you're being passive aggressive. Oh, you're being condescending. And so to Stabby, one criticism, right? You got to be really careful when you use a word like bombastic when you're talking to a person of color in debate. And I understand it's like the word policing kind of sucks, but it's like it's a word that's been used a lot in like a really offensive manner towards people of color, especially Black people, especially in America. And so it's like, I think what might have happened with you and Q is you were bringing up something that was relatively valid. It's hard to have a conversation when people aren't, like speaking kind of like with some simpatico or whatever, right? But it's like, then you said bombastic. And I feel like as soon as you said that, it was like, deer in the headlights, it's fucking on, it's fucking fight time, baby, because bombastic is a very connotative word for the Black community.
Don't forget the mass shooter.
Policing an American woman on American optics.
By the way, Nick,
hold on.
Nick,
hold on. Stabby is a known racist, so this was important.
I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, to be fair,
one at a time. Chill, one at a time.
Yes. Really, one
trying to
sec,
respond to
Stabby.
Nick.
I need to defend you really quick now against Q though. Okay, really quick. I'm so sorry.
What the hell?
No. It's against the point. It's against the point. I'm on your side. Q. The only thing is, she didn't call you a mass shooter. She said that men are responsible for mass shooting, and yet men accuse women of being.
I said you had those vibes. I said you have these crazy over the top.
Let's be fucking real here. He's wearing a fucking exclude now, guys. Of course he looks like a fucking exclude.
Stabby is a racist misogynist. Agreed. We agree that Stabby is a racist misogynist.
We can't treat chat for being Stabby though. That's the issue, right?
Stabby was the answer to the racist, misandrous accusations.
Finally,
Answer in my donation box.
I would like to raise my hand.
$8,000 in reparation.
Oh my god.
Pay reparations, Stabby.
I'm responding to Nick. Now, Nick, Don't ever defend me. I do not need defense, especially not from you.
Nick,
When I am saying,
really?
no. When I am
There's gonna be a
saying,
fight. Let there be a fight.
She's doubling down on the racism.
when I am saying
Here we
that
go.
somebody is being insane, tantrums, I use the word tantrum, I use the word hysterical, and I use the word bombastic, all of which are used at me all the time, which it's just what you tell people when you're comparing them to basically toddlers.
And use some people of color.
But they're
I am
trigger
comparing
words.
you specifically.
She has
Stop.
lived long enough to
You're
be
going to ruin the
comparing-
conversation, Stabby. You're going to ruin the conversation by using trigger words like that.
Yes, you're
Stop.
triggering me.
I
am
need to.
comparing-
Well, you know what I
I
mean,
need
like,
to.
it's-
I need to come in here and back up
Why can't I
Stabby.
finish a fucking
I would
question?
not, Star. I would not do that.
Please say that.
On one point.
Let's
Okay,
start
I
at
don't know
this.
what happened prior. I don't know what's with the bombastic thing, but I have no idea what's happening, right? But when it comes to like the school shooter vibes, like my dude, you were wearing a face mask. Okay, like let's be real here.
I've already
okay?
said. I've already said.
Wow. Good one.
Okay, just to let stop.
We
Just to
are
let you know.
very
Just to
good.
let you know.
Comments
Gang,
ready.
stop.
Yes,
Stop.
thank you.
Housekeeping. I've been giving $200. The next 4 people this person mentions, right? The next 4 people who get out of line,
Out.
he is going to kick you, right? So just bear that in mind. Okay? This has been money on the table.
So I
I'm
want
gonna-
to ask a question for
We're taking
Stardust,
Bezos.
who
Let's
just
talk about-
entered the conversation. How many masked school shooters have you ever heard
I was going to
of?
say, yeah.
Every single one of those motherfuckers is out there full face,
Yup.
front and center. As
Or are you
white
just
as
scared
you
of people of
possibly
color?
be.
White.
This guy looks more like a
No.
gas station robber than a masked
Yeah.
shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Robert
Maybe
Cremo.
the
No,
school
Robert
part-
Cremo.
Maybe
No,
the
Robert
school part
Cremo
was off color, but you know what? You still look like a shooter because shooters wear ski masks.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
this motherfucker looks like he's here to
No
kill
way.
somebody. He
Stardust.
looks
Yeah,
like
but that's
You look
like
Stardust,
not
you want to
even a
use the
good
word
analogy.
thug, maybe?
or something
Are
like
we-
that.
are we-
Yeah, call me a goon.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
shit.
about- we
Okay,
are
let's
one
let
step-
Stabby go.
Wait,
Let's let
hold
Stabby
on,
go.
hold on,
Please,
hold on,
please
hold on,
let
hold on.
Stabby go.
It has
Please let
nothing.
Stabby
Why
go.
it doesn't matter. Anybody who wears a ski mask and is walking behind me, I'm gonna be very sus of them. Okay, that's all
Yes,
I'm
because I'm
saying.
walking behind you from the
Wow,
comfort of my
Stardust is
bedroom.
thug posting so hard right now. What the fuck?
Yes,
Jesus
I'm walking
Christ.
behind you. Discord.
Dude.
You better look behind you. I'm under the chair. Goofy ass shit. What the fuck?
Why are you under
Yeah,
the chair? That's even weirder.
Cross the street.
He would be behind you.
Stardust doesn't want Q in her suburban neighborhood. I see it. I
You
get
know
it.
what? I like
That's
you.
fine.
Now,
How
Why
about
do
you
you
get
get to be worried about this? Oh my God! Somebody
didn't even
stole the
get to say
McLaren.
anything.
Get the hell out of here, G.
All right, let's go.
We should
Stabby.
let
That was
Erudite
fun.
go.
Can we let
We should let
Erudite,
Erudite go.
Erudite
Erudite,
redirect? Yeah.
please.
Yeah, sorry.
Put me in line next.
I basically already supported Q in like some of the like racial weird stuff about the Stabby comments, but I just want to point out that not only was Spaniard a dumb fuck, but he clickbaited as well. There was a fuller clip that gave greater implication that I've just sent to Wick now that actually makes it
He keeps
pretty
going
clear
back to
that
that
you
same
implied
I
it.
love it.
So I just wanted to be clear.
Let's run the clip.
Hold on. We
Run
don't
the
have to relive
clip.
this. We don't have to
Run the
relive
clip.
this.
Okay, stop. We're going to
Hold
do
on.
that. You're going to give me
We
the-
don't have to. You don't have to relive it. I can just post the link in
Fair
Wick's
enough.
chat. I
Whatever
just
you
want to
wanna
say
do.
that not only was kicking Spaniard the right decision, it was fucking based because he was
But I have been
clickbaiting
given more
hard with
money.
motivated
Yeah.
thinking.
I've been given more money
If you're
directly
kicking Spaniard,
to
then
mute
Stabby's still here,
Toronto's for
snobbish.
10 minutes. I've been given another $200
That's just
to mute
racism.
Toronto's for 10 minutes. That's what
Oh,
we're gonna
no.
do.
Holy
That's
shit.
just racism.